Live from the Palace of Auburn Hills, tonight's Continental Indoor Soccer League action has the Detroit Neon playing host to the Indianapolis Twisters. And a very good evening, everyone. From the Palace of Auburn Hills, I'm John Hollers, and for the second time in less than 24 hours, the Indianapolis Twisters and Detroit Neon get together. Last night at Market Square Arena in Indianapolis was a thrilling game in which the Twisters won 9-8 on the strength of a power play goal inside the final 12 seconds of the game. With that victory, Indianapolis has moved within a half game of Detroit as we look at the Eastern Conference standings. Now, tonight's battle becomes for sole possession of fifth place, and as the standings are now, for the final playoff berth in the CISL postseason party known as the playoffs. As always, I'm joined by my color analyst, Joel Epstein. And Joel, while the Neon hope to get on the winning side tonight against Indianapolis, they hope for continued success from a couple of players. Andy Chapman and Joel Shanker had their best games of the season last night.
Andy Chapman had 2 of his 3 goals in the fourth period, 13 seconds apart to rally his team. Joel Shanker had a hat trick in the first half, an assist, and 4 blocks. It was his effort that helped keep them in the game last night, and they need that type of an effort this evening if they want to stick with Indianapolis.
And chances are, if those two have the type of games this evening that they had last night in Indianapolis, another player will be involved, and that player will be Drago. If he is involved, it'll be the first time in some time he's been on the shelf for half a dozen games.
That's right. He's played in 7. Unusual that he has 10 assists, second on the team, and he's missed nearly half the ball games.
Drago's return, hoping to boost the offense for the Detroit Neon, but Indianapolis has had a boost all season long on their offense from Mariano Balela. This is a team that has suddenly run into some adversity that we'll talk about a little bit later, but they've been able to rally around Balela all season long.
That's right. Balela is their top goal scorer, and he leads in points. He's very quick off the ball, and he can explode at any moment and cause havoc with the defense.
A goal and 4 assists last night in leading Indianapolis's very balanced attack as 8 different players scored goals for the Twisters in the win. Tonight it's the same 2 teams, different location. We're at the Palace of Auburn Hills. The Detroit Neon and Indianapolis Twisters back with the opening kickoff after this. Back at the Palace is the Indianapolis Twisters and Detroit Neon tangle for the second time in 24 hours. Starting lineups for tonight's game. First for the visiting Indianapolis Twisters, a former member of the Neon, John Kluba, will get the start in goal. In front of him will be Oswaldo Monroy along with Mariano Balela, and they will be joined up front by Alejandro Marino. Defensively in front of him, Baroni Richardson, another former Neon player, and Rich Ryerson. For Detroit, the home club, P.J. Johns gets the call in goal tonight. Offensively in front of him, Andy Chapman, Drago, and Joel Shanker, and Jay White and Tim Whitman in front of him defensively. These two teams virtually with mirror images of one another's records as far as home and away are concerned. And as far as home and away are concerned, for Detroit of late, they've been rather alternating their goalkeepers as P.J. Johns suddenly has become the home keeper.
He has not traveled recently. Yarrow has played the bulk of the minutes on the road, and maybe this is the pattern that will be set for the rest of the season now, John.
And of course, it is no secret, and it has not been made a secret ever in the last couple of years of his career, that P.J. Johns is getting on in years, so maybe resting him a little bit as well. The former Neon keeper of a year ago, John Kluba, having a much better season this year amongst the league leaders with that 5.68 goals against.
And he spent 6 hours in the hospital yesterday with an illness. I'm surprised to see he made the trip. I'm surprised to see him in a uniform. I'm surprised to see him on the field and the starting goalkeeper for Indianapolis, especially when you consider how well Milovac played last night, John.
Well, Paul Child certainly hoping for a little more luck for his club tonight. Watched a great comeback go awry late last night, and he remains very, very positive on the Detroit bench, while Jorge Espinoza was surprisingly optimistic about his team's finish last night, despite the fact that they did get a victory. They weren't strong down the stretch, and the officials tonight, as assigned to the game by the Continental Indoor Soccer League.
You'll not find a more optimistic coach, I don't think, anywhere than Jorge Espinoza. We will talk with him at halftime, and you'll see that he is an upbeat guy.
His club squandered an 8-4 lead. Less than 5 minutes to go in the game, they're up 8-4. With just over 5 minutes to go last night, Paul Child went to the 6th attacker. In a span of 2 minutes and 15 seconds, Espinoza's team gave up 4 goals. An 8-4 lead evaporated. It was an 8-8 tie. But then his club got the ultimate break, perhaps the extra good break on the game, as Detroit got caught with too many men on the field. With 1:32 remaining in the game and with 11.9 seconds remaining, Matt Blackburn untied the game with his second of the night, and Indianapolis came away with a 9-8 victory.
And Jorge Espinosa's heart skipped a beat when he saw that blue card go up. Of course, the call went against the Neon and in the Twisters' favor. The Twisters getting the late goal, as John mentioned, to come away with a very important victory.
Yet he says to us before the game, exciting game. It was great for the fans. I'm glad it ended that way. And had it not ended that way, I mean, he did have a kind of look in his eyes as if to say I wouldn't be quite as optimistic. But a lot of coaches would put a damper on a victory like that. But Espinosa with an expansion team definitely happy with the win. And his club goes for their second straight tonight. Both teams with different keepers than went last night as Kluba catches the long shot and then guns it over 3 lines to start the game. This was a problem that plagued Kluba a year ago, and maybe a little rust showing right there after having last night off.
Well, you saw Balela streaking down the right side. He thought, well, let's take advantage of a quick counterattack. Unfortunately, the ball dropped 3 lines away.
So Drago in the lineup for the first time in 7 games will trigger the free kick, and as he does, the play whistled dead as the officials were watching everything but Drago and didn't realize until he had put the ball into play. Perhaps a break for Detroit because Chapman's shot was blocked.
Absolutely. Here's the other opportunity they'll have, and Drago is a master at finding people on these set pieces.
He's got Jay White on the far side. Instead tries to break the wall. That doesn't work, and the carom comes back to him. He'll feed it all the way back to P.J. Johns.
Now we will see the Twisters play with 9 men in rotation up front. They are incredibly fit. They practice twice a day still. I've never heard of a professional team practicing twice a day during the season.
And down on the carpet is Marino after a 50-50 header was taken from him by Jay White. You talk about a fit club. They're also very aerodynamic. You're going to notice a lot of players on this club not sporting any do at all. Many of them shaved their heads. I thought perhaps part of it was in a show of solidarity with the problems they had yesterday, but as we take another look at Marino getting a shot in the back from Jay White, he is back to his feet.
Well, Jay White leads the team in blocks and fouls. That's a sign of a tough defender. He was going up cleanly for the ball there, but it looked like he got his knee into Marino's back. Marino spent some time on the carpeting last night as well.
Went face down into the carpet and opened up a little cut over his left eye, we were told. When he left the field in the 3rd quarter last night, he looked like he might not return. He had the legs of a boxer who was on the wrong end, as he really had to be physically assisted off the field, but was able to return by early in the 4th quarter, and of course was one of many Twister players who figured offensively in that big win, as they had 8 different goal scorers in the game.
And that's you'd love to see as a coach, everybody getting involved and getting on the board. It keeps all the players happy.
Here is Balela, the star last night and the leading scorer for Indianapolis. His shot blocked by Drago, who then leads it the other way with Chapman. Nutmegs Richardson, brings it into the Indianapolis zone, and then had his shot blocked.
A little magic from Drago. You can see he is not feeling the effects of his hamstring injury at this point.
He'll do it with the right foot and just misses the mark over top. Baroni Richardson will clear it away to midfield. Tim Whitman has it there. I think one of the things Detroit wants to establish tonight that they were unable to have much success with over the final 3 quarters last night is just a little, I guess, territorial dominance, if you will. Indianapolis, after the 1st quarter, virtually dominated the game against Detroit, despite the close final count. Detroit at one point had given up 16, or I should say 18 of the game's 24 shots. After coming out of the gate with a 3-0 lead, they then found themselves giving up 8 of the game's next 9 goals.
Well, Indianapolis is a young team, and they're incredibly fit. So they will wear teams down and keep possession of the ball and keep you bottled up in your own end. That's their game plan. They like to play high pressure, John, high pressure defense.
Certainly a resilient bunch as well, as Martin Chester is run over from behind, and Monty Reeves will pick up the foul there. Jason Davis puts it into play, and the casted Kevin Legg on the field sends it right back to him.
Not only is he casted, he's also dyed.
Yeah.
Dyed his hair blonde as he did last season with San Diego. He's a California kid.
This season's Joe Murtaugh, if you will, for the Neon. The Detroit club had Murtaugh for the first 2 seasons. And I asked Kevin before last night's game if he had lost a bet because Murtaugh bleached the hair last year because he was basically dared to do it and told that he wouldn't do it. And of course, that was all he needed to hear, and he did it. Kevin told me before the game, no, I didn't lose a bet. I did this last year in San Diego, and I thought I'd do it again this year. Perhaps one of those things that brings you luck. P.J. Johns comes out of the Detroit goal to clear it away from Monty Reeves, nearly a 50-50 as he was going after it, and now Reeves returns to the Indianapolis bench for a change.
You can see Indianapolis working their high-pressure game here and getting possession of the ball in the midfield.
Matej Kazul trying to get it away from Kenny Snow at midfield, sends it into the Detroit end. Davis uses the high glass to get it to the red line, but not out. Mike Sloan knocked that down and kept it in. Sloan did not play last night. He's out there early this evening. The race is on down the length of the field, though. Legg and Kazul after it. They tangled hard last night. Given up by Kazul, and Drago deflects it over top of the net and just missed the mark as Kluba came out to get a piece of it.
He got a paw on that ball, deflected. He hit the crossbar after John got a piece of it. Nice save by Kluba, point blank from Drago.
Snow setting up Legg, top of the arc, chased by Coyer. Instead, it's Whitman. The header from the corner goes across the goal mouth off of Kenny Snow.
Well, Indianapolis coveted Kenny Snow. They couldn't sign him to a deal. He ends up here in Detroit, and you can see why. He's very offensive-minded. He has 3 hat-trick games so far this season. He scores goals in bunches.
So does Joel Shanker, who's got the ball right now. Another former IU star, as is Snow. Had a hat trick all in the first half last night at Market Square Arena. This time turned away by Kluba, who throws it right into the Indianapolis bench.
Almost decapitating Terry Rowe as he was trying to get on the field there.
An officials timeout. We're early on at the Palace, no score. No score early on at the Palace. The Indianapolis Twisters and the Detroit Neon. A game that will give the winner sole possession of 5th place in the Eastern Conference. And at least for the time being, the number 8 position in the league, which would be the final playoff position at the end of the season as well. Indianapolis with a win last night, reaching the halfway mark of their season. After this one is done, Detroit will have reached their halfway mark. Joel Shanker reaches the boards with a little help from Rich Ryerson, and the ball spins to the red line. Drago knocked it down. Now Shanker has it back and is tumbled by Blackburn inside the red line. He can't believe it, but that's a foul on Indianapolis's Matt Blackburn.
The Neon have turned the tables on the Twisters. They've gone to high pressure. You can see their high pressure game was successful there as Shanker was able to steal the ball.
Drago will trigger the dead ball, and this is one area where he was certainly missed. However, the Neon have continued to succeed off dead ball plays. Whitman down low deflecting it off the back of his heel, but Kluba stepping in front comes up with it and guns it down the near side. Marino back out there after taking the hard tumble from Jay White the first time, and White puts him down again, and same result, a foul for Jay White.
I don't think Kluba noticed that he had a 3v2. Whitman was stuck in the corner by him as Kluba had the ball. He had a 3v2 opportunity for the Twisters and didn't take advantage of it.
This time Kluba will use the left foot to send it into the Detroit end. Baroni Richardson squeezes it through Andy Chapman into P.J. Johns, who lofts it down the right side. Racing after it, Shanker, he has Chapman. Shot by Shanker, missed the mark, header, rebound off the high glass by Andy Chapman.
Well, Shanker's pumped to play against Indy. He was also destined to play there, but at the last minute ended up here in Detroit.
Neon intercept the long outlet in the midst of changes, and Martin Chester's pass broken up midfield by Monty Reeves. Overlet himself, though, and Jay White able to run it down. Chester sends it across the field for Whitman. Trying to get up the boards through Terry Rowe, but Terry got a good hold on him, and one of Indianapolis's 2 All-Stars is called for the foul.
Terry Rowe, excuse me, John, he was the one who found Martin Chester in England. He was coaching and playing a 4th division team. He brought Martin Chester over here. He's signed by the Neon, and he's done a nice job for him.
Detroit makes a change right off the dead ball. Kevin Legg deflecting it into the arc. Chapman can't turn, or check it, Kenny Snow couldn't turn with it. And now deflected to the far boards. I was just going to say that Terry Rowe is certainly no stranger to fouls, as he picked up his first of the game there.
He led the league last year in fouls, as a matter of fact.
Kevin Legg on the near side, double team, trying to work it out high. Chester with the header, but Legg will pick up the foul as he had a grip on his man from behind.
Terry Rowe played defense for Indianapolis when they started the season. Now they've moved him up into the midfield, and he's one of the best high-pressure midfielders ever to play indoor soccer.
He is also answered by becoming the number 3 scorer on this team. Picked up his 7th goal last night in the win.
You'll not find a more sophisticated soccer mind in indoor soccer, or a nicer guy than Terry Rowe.
Not often understood. He can talk a mile a minute, but as you mentioned, he is a great guy. Martin Chester at midfield for Detroit. No score, 9 minutes to go, first quarter. Ian Fairbrother down the right side. 2 teams that, if they want to, can get very defensive-minded. Drago trying to get it inside the arc to Snow, and Kluba will pounce on it before any harm can come of that.
Well, the Twisters play a lot of close games. They give up 6.2 goals a game while scoring 5.4. So you know with those type of numbers that they're playing very, very tight games.
Drago cannot draw the call on the far side, and Coyer feeds it ahead for Mike Sloan. Sloan got it to midfield, and Balela upended there by Jason Davis. Davis, who is one of the penalty minute leaders on this Detroit club, however, only has 8. Balela, the man he took down, shares the team lead for penalty minutes in Indianapolis with 16, and he's not a player the Twisters can afford to lose. Sloan alone in front, just didn't get anything on it. After it came around the boards to him, looked like he had an empty net to shoot at. Now the Neon turned the tables. Again, Shanker down the right side, and he puts it upstairs. 1-0 Detroit.
Nice play by Joel Shanker. Nothing John Kluba could do with that blast as he blasted it upper 90 at pace. That ball was flying. Shanker, Neon keep finding him down the right side. Andy Chapman is there as a decoy in the middle. Perhaps he'll pass it, but no. Shanker is shot twice. Once off the crossbar this time. No doubt about it. Upper 90.
You mentioned earlier that Shanker was pumped up to play in this game. It shows. As you mentioned, twice he's been free down that right side. Neither time has he really looked to make the pass. He's been very sure of himself that he's shooting the ball, and it pays a dividend.
That's his 4th goal in 2 nights. Of course, we're going to get on him a little bit. He's only got 2 assists so far this season.
He did pick one up last night, however, though.
His 2nd of the year.
He doubled his season total. Matej Kazul playing it up near the scoreboard. It doesn't touch it, though, and play continues. Now Kevin Legg bumped at midfield, draws the foul from George Crawford.
Reminiscent of last night, the Neon taking the lead. They built a 3-0 lead last night, but weren't able to hold it against this very, I would say, a team that is, of all the teams in this ISL, as fit as anyone.
And fit equals resilience. Because they really looked as if they were down 3-0 early in the second quarter, not even a minute into the second quarter, not getting anything going offensively, and then they proceeded to score 5 goals in the second quarter and take the lead to the break.
One way for the Neon to avoid the high pressure defense when PJ has the ball is to move it upfield, but you can see Andy Chapman is surrounded by 3 Twisters. Luckily he gets the call for the Neon there as Jay White will put it in play.
Twisted is what Chapman ended up being, as Waldo Monroy will pick up the foul. Just about at the halfway mark of the opening quarter, 1-0 Detroit leads Indianapolis. Drago, the long shot, he was looking for a redirect from Chapman, but he was held up by Kazul, edge of the arc, and Kluba will gun it out of there. For Moreno on the near side. Marked by Jay White at the red line, he still controls it. White being careful, he goes to the left foot and just misses the far corner. Through a screen, P.J. Johns unable to get there. He didn't see it till it was too late.
Well, you know Moreno's going to work to his left, very strong left foot, and it always makes it difficult on the goalkeeper when there's a crowd in front of him. He's going to see the shot at the last minute, if at all, and he can't react quick enough many times. Luckily for P.J., the ball was not on net.
Johns with it in his own zone, now out of the arc for Drago, who will give it right back to him.
And P.J. collected his first assist of the season to go with his 1 goal on Shanker's goal that takes the Neon to their first lead, 1-0.
P.J. Johns careful to handle it as he nears midfield, just rolls it along the carpet all the way to the red line for Drago. Middle of the field for Shanker. Joel gives it back to the bald one. The give and go misses him coming back, though. Covered up by Fairbrother. Ian gives it to Drago, and he is pulled off the ball by Terry Rowe, and the 2 teammates tangling, and it's Rowe who will pick up the foul. I should say the 2 former teammates tangling. Now Chapman off the dead ball, gets the pass, tries to kick at it as he goes down to the carpet. Fairbrother gets it back along the wall from Jason Davis for Drago out high. He and Chapman try to give and go, but Andy missed him coming back. And in transition, Blackburn moves it ahead for Reeves. Indianapolis into the Detroit zone. Reeves marked by Jason Davis, rims it around the boards. P.J. Johns blocked it. It came outside the arc, though. And lucky for him, Shanker just hammers it out of trouble.
Boy, Reeves really got hammered by P.J., but looks no worse for wear.
However, he does head to the bench as Indianapolis goes for wholesale changes. Ian Fairbrother controls for Detroit on the near side.
Kazul is doing a nice job on the Neon attackers who are posting up. It's Andy Chapman and then Kenny Snow posting him up, but he's not letting them turn, and he's keeping a lot of pressure on their back, making them deal the ball off and not giving a view of the goal.
Quick ball movement for Detroit, enabling that shot for Kenny Snow, and then the foul picked up as Jay White came right off the bench and now has his 3rd foul of the first half. Still 5:29 to go in the first quarter. White is going to have to be very careful the rest of the way. The game did turn rather physical last night over the course of it. And these two teams may be feeling a little bit of a rivalry. Jay White, playing physical so far, is going to have to be careful, though. The Neon have the early lead, 1-0 on the strength of a Joel Shanker goal. Just over 5 to go in the first quarter.
What?
Happy to have Drago back, are the fans here at the Palace. A fan favorite throughout his 3 seasons here with Detroit. P.J. Johns moments ago, not becoming a favorite of Monty Reeves, though.
Not only does he run into him, but he looked like he kicked him in the head almost there. But Reeves is a tough young guy, and he's able to look him. It's actually a foul on Reeves for dipping his head. But the play went on, and the Neon were no worse for wear either, as the Twisters couldn't put the ball in the Neon net.
Play at midfield. Jay White with the left foot long down the far boards. Ryerson deflects it back for Matt Coyer. Coyer, who had one of the 9 Indianapolis goals last night, plays it the other way. As was the case last night, Detroit with the early advantage on the scoreboard as well as statistically. However, the attack time rather widely favoring Indianapolis early on, as it did down the stretch of the final 3 quarters last night, Joel.
Neon have been able to take advantage of one of the few opportunities they've had, though, as Shanker. Speaking of opportunities,
a giveaway as Monroy had a chance. P.J. Johns with 1 save, then 2, and then a 3rd, all on Monroy, and it keeps it 1-0 Detroit. Drago just gave it up right in the middle of the field.
You can see Indianapolis pressure, and it's relentless. And after a while, you can see the Neon players backpedaling. All 3 defenders were backpedaling in that situation and not attacking and trying to create something and steal the ball.
Now P.J. Johns with his first real hard work of the night. 3 consecutive saves.
Half his saves basically in 1 play. Here's the shot coming off the left foot of Marino. P.J. with the first diving save, can't hold it. He makes a leg save to the corner. And then he gets a ball right in his gut, which he can't hold, and Jay White is able to pick up the ball.
4:22 to go, first quarter. 1-0 Detroit. Good crowd on hand tonight at the Palace on a Friday night. The Neon have been very good at home, 5-1 thus far this season here in the friendly digs. Indianapolis 1-5 on the road.
Indianapolis has played a lot of close games this year, and they've let a couple teams off the hook. They let Washington off the hook within a minute to go, and also Monterey, who leads the division. They could be a team above 500 if they had a little luck going their way, perhaps.
Well, they got a little luck last night. They very nearly let this Detroit club off the hook.
You probably had that feeling, oh, here we go again.
It was a heavy hook at 8-4 with inside 5 to go. Kluba long over the top, right into the arc, and P.J. Johns quick to outlet it. Outlets it up the middle, though, and Shanker finds himself in a minefield of twisters.
And you can see number 10, Mike Sloan, the fireman, climbing the ladder, trying to get his head on that ball. But was unable to do so as it went into P.J. Johns' arms.
Chapman only able to deflect it into the arc. Collision at midfield includes Blackburn again. He's had a couple of hard spills tonight. Ian Fairbrother that time got the piece of him.
Well, I'm sure all the Neon players would like to get a piece of Blackburn. He scored 2 goals and the game winner last night, so Neon are not going to take to him very kindly, and every opportunity they get, they're going to put a squeeze on him.
Alejandro Marino puts the ball into play, and it's Sloan who hammers it up the boards. Just got it inside the arc, and as P.J. Johns picks it up, the ruling on the field from the officials will be he grabbed that one too soon.
I don't know how the officials saw that through 3 players, but the Indianapolis players were sure yelling about it. Blackburn, as you can see, gets his foot on it, and P.J. is in the box, but his hands were not.
Ball appeared to be on the line, or maybe part of it on the line, but nonetheless the call made, and Blackburn will put the free kick into play right on the edge of the arc. To Marino, and he rockets it right into Jason Davis. Drago shoots it towards the empty net as Kluba was way out, as is his style, but he missed the mark and is able to come back and play it. Matej Kazul, who had a run-in with Kevin Legg last night, throws it to the middle of the field. Fairbrother broke it up, but right back to Kazul. He'll send it all the way into the Detroit zone. Marino, hard from the corner, takes a look, sends it up the glass and over top, as PJ got a piece of the hand on it. Davis drops it back. Fairbrother goes through the middle. Shanker with a heady play to find the open man. That's Drago. And now Detroit will work it up the field.
the Neon were leaving a few of the Twister players back by themselves with PJ. Twisters cannot get the ball to those open players. If they do, though, it's going to be a tough situation to defend.
Whitman drops it back for Fairbrother, allowing P.J. Johns to come out and help spread the field for the Neon. 1-0 Detroit, 2.5 to go first quarter. Martin Chester marked by Terry Rowe to the middle of the field for Chapman, back to Chester on the right flank, moves it up the boards, rifles it off the boards, leg to the rebound, and that deflected out of play.
Kluba did a nice job of picking that ball off the wall.
Indianapolis still down a goal, 2:14 to go in the first. One to nothing, Detroit has the early lead. 2:14 to go first quarter. Jorge Espinoza has been here as a coach with a team before. He's been in the situation he is in with his team before as far as off the field is concerned. And our Joel Epstein will visit with him at the half and talk about just that, amongst other things. Espinoza last year the coach in Mexico City of the Mexico Toros, an ill-fated franchise that no longer is a member of the CISL.
They had one season and out, and now there's been some changes made in Indianapolis, and it's very interesting talking to Jorge because he doesn't really pay much attention to what goes on. He doesn't really want to know what's going on.
Here's Monty Reeves racing into the Detroit and turned away by P.J. Johns.
He feels his job is right here on the field with his players, and you can tell because he works the door on substitutions. The only coach in the league to work his own door on substitutions.
Well, the situation in Indianapolis in a nutshell is this. The papers reporting in Indianapolis that the league came in and took over the franchise on Wednesday. There was originally some question as to whether Thursday night's game would take place, at least out loud in the media, but to hear the Indianapolis front office talk and the CISL office as well talk, there's never been any question that Indianapolis would play out their season, but there were separate releases, one from the league, one from the Twisters office yesterday, as to regarding who was still running the show or who was running the show in Indianapolis. And now I talked to Ron Weinstein, the commissioner of the league last night, who was in Indianapolis, and he seemed very confident that things would be worked out, and the CISL release did at least stop short of saying that the league had taken over the operation. They just talked about what they had in mind for the operation, and original discussions that had at least talked about legal action have, at least for the moment, been put on the side, and the Twisters continue to play and play rather well. Kenny Snow tripped up as he comes inside the red line, and Rich Ryerson will pick up the foul with half a minute remaining in the opening quarter.
Well, the CISL commissioner, Ron Weinstein, spent the day in Indianapolis working with Rodney Goins, who is the owner of the Twisters. You can see Kenny Snow beats his man to the inside, but gets a knee in the thigh, which is known as a Charlie horse. You can see he's walking slowly as he sets the ball down. Good opportunity here for the Neon to build their lead. Looks like Kevin Legg will be triggering this free kick.
Takes a look, and now we'll set it to Fairbrother off the bench, who spins it around the boards for Snow, jams it off the boards right in front and just out of the reach of Kevin Legg.
And the Neon were just too deep. They didn't have an angle to shoot that ball, but it's a clever play, bringing somebody off the bench who's unmarked to trigger it.
Legg takes it away, got it to Snow, and he scores!
And if Kenny Snow gets started, look out, because when he gets started early, he can score and score and score. He got in, and that's what you need to do, is get in close, because a shot from a distance is hard to score on, because a goalkeeper and a defense has time to react. You can see Kevin Legg punching the ball into Snow. He's using his left foot here, and nutmegs, puts the ball right through the 5 holes, they say in hockey. Nutmegs Kluba, his old teammate, wastes no time. He knows where the goal is. Keeps it on the carpet, low and hard.
His 19th of the season gives him the team lead, not only in goals, but now in points. And it gives Detroit a 2-0 advantage. Exactly what they took to the break at the end of the first quarter last night. And now just 10 seconds remain in this first quarter as Ryerson heads it into the Detroit end. Whitman trying to clear, knocked down by Baroni Richardson, who throws it off the glass in front, deflected. Monroy got a shot away, got it to the front of the goal, and now the quarter will come to an end as Whitman and Chester team up to clear it out of harm's way. It's deja vu all over again. Detroit 2, Indianapolis nothing after 1 quarter play tonight from the Palace. Back at the Palace, where the Detroit Neon have a 2-0 lead over the Indianapolis Twisters after one quarter play. Joel Shanker's fourth in 2 nights from the goalkeeper. P.J. Johns got it started at 6:44, and Kenny Snow's 19th of the season, a team-leading total from Kevin Legg late in the quarter. That's a big goal as it doubles the Detroit lead. Statistically speaking, in that first quarter, things all were leaning Detroit's way, and they've turned the attack time around, which was the one area in which they were behind early on.
The thing you have to really be concerned with, though, with Indianapolis is that they are a strong physical team, and as the game wears on, they become stronger and stronger. They've had to foul the Neon quite a few times, though, to stay with them this early part of the game. The Neon have really adopted the style of Paul Child that he utilized in Pittsburgh, which is a grind-em-out style of play at home here, and that's exactly what they're doing right now. Just grinding it out, building a lead, and getting back behind the ball.
A total of 13 fouls in that first quarter, showing you the physical nature of tonight's game. These two teams wearing one another out because of a scheduling span that will see them each play 3 and 4 days, as both teams will be back in action on Sunday. Indianapolis at least goes home. Detroit has to go to Houston.
And the Twisters have 5 games in 9 days. This is a very important part of the season for them. If they can start winning some ball games, they'll really get themselves in the middle of the playoff hunt.
Detroit in a similar stretch of scheduling as next week they will play Friday, Saturday as well. So they play 5 and 10 days. After the schedule was so light early on, pretty much everybody getting hammered now. And Detroit becomes one of the last teams in the league to reach the halfway mark of the season with tonight's game.
And of course, that makes the end of the season very hectic for them, as they'll play 9 games in the month of September.
Foul as Kevin Legg was down on the carpet, and I believe he's called for playing the ball while on the carpet.
That's a call you don't really see too often here. It seems in the CISL they let them play when they're on the ground, and we saw one game where Andy Chapman got into a fight over that situation against Portland.
Marino with the free kick moves it across. Sloan deflected it and then sends it off the boards to the top of the arc, and that's knocked away. Kenny Snow gives chase as it comes all the way back to 0-0 John Kluba for Indianapolis, who sends it long over the top and off the top of the dasher. The prudent play, or so Martin Chester felt, was just get it out of there, and in doing so he puts it all the way out of the building.
Well, Kevin Legg had trouble judging that ball, as you do when you play indoor soccer. It's hard to judge where that ball's going to come off the glass at. Martin Chester was smart to come in and help his teammate play good team defense just to knock the ball away there.
It was one of those bad bounces too. It hit right on the edge of the top of the dasher. Terry Rowe off the give and go on the free kick, puts it home, and Indianapolis has cut the Detroit lead in half.
Well, when you try and defend a give and go, it's a beautiful give and go play. When you're marking the person who's giving and then going, you've got your back turned. So he knows where he's going, and he's got to step on you to begin with. Nobody came to cover him. And you can see Terry Rowe be wide open here as Kevin Legg struggles to get back. That was his man. He had to turn and start running. By that time, Terry Rowe had the ball on his foot and was able to one-touch it home up high. And you could see that Jason Davis probably screened P.J. Johns on that play. Get another view of it here. The goal end view. You see P.J. bends his back because Terry did a nice job of cutting that ball back.
Yeah, he sure did. And you mentioned earlier how it has worked so nicely with Terry Rowe moved to midfield. He has his 8th of the season and his 2nd in as many nights. And Indianapolis is on the board. Loose ball in the Indianapolis end, and now we're going to see the same call the other way, I believe, as they've called Indianapolis's Matej Kazul for playing the ball while he was on the carpet.
That was a great play. Ian Fairbrother was going to have a shot at Kluber right there, and the goal, a tough angle shot, but a shot nonetheless. Kazul did stick his paw out.
Fairbrother now will trigger the free kick, and off a deflection it came right to Kluba. Blackburn picking up the assist on Terry Rowe's goal. As Indianapolis has now cut it to 1, it's 2-1 Detroit. George Crawford back in the Indianapolis end for John Kluba.
That's Blackburn's.
That'll be the second 3-line violation from Kluba this evening.
Blackburn with his 5th assist of the season.
Paul Child will watch his team again set it up off a dead ball. And Tim Whitman to trigger this time on the 3-line violation.
And Ian Fairbrother is wide open on the right
Marino marks him as the pass came to him, and now Shanker forced to send it all the way out high for Whitman. Whitman going one-on-one, has nowhere to go as he's turned away, and it's Fairbrother to Chester. Loops it high in the air into the arc. Kluba steps in front of Chapman, who's being marked from behind by Monroy, and scoops it away.
Well, whenever you put the ball up, there's only a 50% chance you're going to get it back. And when you're playing in the offensive end, you want to keep the ball on the ground in that situation to keep possession of the ball. Martin Chester basically gave the ball away, or gave Indianapolis at least a 50% chance of getting possession of it, which they did.
Bolela trying to set Marino in the Detroit end, but loses that battle, and now P.J. Johns trying to clear it away, had that deflect. And Martin Chester forced to bring it back. He's in trouble as he loses it to Reeves and then forced to foul him.
He got called for holding there. He tried to turn Reeves. PJ came out to stop Reeves. This is a very dangerous situation. Martin Chester then knocks the ball right to PJ's hands. Dangerous, very tough situation to defend. As you can see, Andy Chapman is taking the near post away from Indianapolis.
And they'll score nonetheless off the free kick as they set it back out, and George Crawford, much like Kenny Snow's goal, just kept it low, hard on the carpet.
And he didn't hit it with a lot of pace, really. He just beat everybody to the ball and put it to a place where nobody was. See the ball come across, and he dives and beats, it looks like Shanker there, to the ball. It is Joel Shanker who he beats to the ball. And it goes in between PJ and Andy Chapman.
PJ Johns so intent on coming off that far post, or the near post, I should say, with that sharp angle, got caught leaning too far. And as you mentioned, Crawford just got his foot on it. He has his first of the season, and he caught PJ Johns leaning the other way.
So difficult to fend from that baseline.
Now Terry Rowe for Indianapolis into the Detroit end with it, loses it to Jason Davis, who plays it up the boards and around Rowe and goes and gets it. Then just hammers it all the way back into the Indianapolis end. Neon will go for some changes as John Kluba has it. New game, 2-2. Indianapolis has erased a 2-goal deficit, much as they did last night when they got down early 3-0.
Really strange games, though, because it's not like one team goes down and scores and the other team goes down and scores. A team will score 2-3 goals, and then their team will take possession of the ball and get the momentum going in their way. They'll come back and score 3-4 goals.
Yeah, each team last night scored 4 in a row at one juncture in the game. Indianapolis at one point had scored 8 of 9 in the game. 2-2, 11:15 to go first half. P.J. Johns for Detroit. Already had the red line, so he can send it the length of the field. Kluba almost got caught in no man's land as the bounce came high on him. Blackburn heads it away. And now boots it to the open right wing. Ryerson running after it. Has Blackburn 2-on-1. Got it to him. Out comes P.J. Johns. He gets beat, though. And Indianapolis has the lead as Blackburn again scores a goal to untie the game.
Just as he did last night. You can see Indianapolis is using all their players to help them get on the board.
Blackburn with his third in the last 2 nights. All of them have untied the game. Indy on top.
Kids, don't forget to register for...
See, Ryerson sends the ball to Blackburn. He wastes no time, and he puts it near side before P.J. Johns can get there for his 12th goal of the season. Ryerson with his 3rd assist of the year.
Well, last night, they spread it around, did the Indianapolis Twisters quite nicely. 3 goals from 3 players early on here, and maybe more so importantly for this club than anyone. If they do rely on anyone offensively, it's Mariano Bolela. He has not figured in any of their 3 goals.
And he is a starter on the Eastern Conference All-Star game, which will be coming up next week, August 15th, from Arizona.
That's this coming Thursday in Phoenix, the home of the former Sand Sharks. Now Marino takes it away from Kenny Snow at the Detroit red line. Got spun around, but Whitman is there to play it away. And here's Fairbrother in transition. Ian draped by Twister defender. Sneaks it through for Kenny Snow, top of the arc. Tried to tap it in front of himself. If so, he was one-on-one with Kluba, but he couldn't quite do it. And Kluba scoops it away for Bolela.
Good view by Ian Fairbrother to spot Kenny Snow. And Kenny, nice run into space to try and receive the ball. Look at the ball. It was just a stride behind him. He couldn't handle it.
Kluba sends it long over the top. The 50-50 header comes back to the center circle where Kenny Snow loses the battle for position, but he does so because Bolela fouled him. Detroit quickly puts it into play. Here's Drago on the near side. Marked by Crawford, sends it around the boards. Kluba's seen that before, and he dives to his left to knock it down.
It's so important for a goalkeeper to be able to hold the ball. Last night, a lot of goals were scored on rebounds. And that was another situation there where the goalie couldn't hold the ball, and the ball was free right in the arc.
Indianapolis has already scored more goals here tonight than they did back on June 14th when these two teams opened the season in this building, and Detroit came away an 8-2 winner.
And the Twisters were held for 35 minutes without a goal at all in that game. They ended up with 2 goals, both unassisted.
And I talked with Andy Chapman last night and talked about the particular circumstance the Twisters may find themselves in. A little controversy as to who is running the team, who owns the team. And Chapman told me about a personal experience when he was playing with the Detroit Rockers, and a similar situation happened midway through the season. There was a bit of an ownership change. There was some question as to whether players would receive paychecks. And he said the team rallied around it. I think we're seeing the same thing from a suddenly very spirited Indianapolis team.
Well, you could see that Sloan quickly took the ball from Drago. Drago went at him from behind. If we let the replay roll, you can see Sloan took a swing, a backhanded swing at Drago. They both go to their own, well, actually, yeah, they both go to their own bench as opposed to going to the penalty box, though.
Actually, Drago will stay out. Sloan being checked over by the trainer as he went to the bench, asked a few questions, and Terry Rowe heads it across the Detroit arc on the long pass, comes right back to the front of the goal. A little scrambly in the Detroit end. Crawford with it at the red line.
A tremendous defensive play by Jason Davis to save the Neon, the embarrassment of a 4th goal.
Rahano trying to set it into the corner, didn't get it back, and now to midfield. Chapman and Kazul chase after it. Now it's Kluba who will left foot it to midfield. And Drago suddenly picking up some fouls, gets his second in just a few seconds as he bumped Monroy from behind.
No, Indianapolis only has 14 or 15 players on their roster that are healthy at this point. They lost Reza to knee surgery. He was one of their better players. And when you have a franchise that doesn't know who's running the show, plus you're shy of players, that's a dangerous combination as the season wears on, John.
How many of those 15 players would you say have hair? Terry Rowe's always cropped it pretty close. But you got Crawford with the shaved head out there right now, along with Monroy. Bolela is sporting that same look. I believe Monty Reeves, if he isn't bald, is similar to Terry Rowe, cropping it pretty close.
Nice fist out by PJ as he was able to beat Rahano to the ball. Rahano, as Terry Rowe mentioned to me, is a player who is on the verge of greatness.
Hasn't played much tonight.
Has not played much, but he has the ability, and Terry thinks that he really is going to be a star in this league.
Well, Rowe gets it from Rahano, but had his shot blocked away, and now Jay White from out of his own arc will go up the middle with it.
Boy, Jay White sure was a great addition for the Neon. He came from the Rockers after taking a year off to help them defensively.
Kenny Snow trying to do it all himself, got it all the way inside the red line, and then just barely missed. Karam cleared away, and P.J. Johns with it at his own red line.
Nice pass by Ian Fairbrother again. He spots Tim Whitman wide open on the left side under pressure as the Twisters continue this high-pressure game. You can see Reeves, number 19, circling the field looking for the ball.
Should mention the Neon without the services of Grzegorz Matlack tonight. Matlack failing to score a goal in a game for the first time last night in Indianapolis in all 13 games this season. Sprained an ankle and is missing his first action of the year. He came into tonight's game tied for the team lead with Kenny Snow with 18 goals. Snow has, of course, snapped that tie. But that's some offense the Neon could use, especially as they trail 3-2 with 6.5 to go here in the first half.
Ian Fairbrother doing a nice job. He was double teamed, but he was able to get the ball out of harm's way and back to his wide open goalkeeper there. Smart play by Ian Fairbrother.
Fairbrother moves it ahead for Kevin Legg. Legg trying to feed it ahead, but Kenny Snow didn't go to it. Kazul just clears it away. Fairbrother waiting for it at midfield. Fairbrother bothered a little bit by a sore right foot, but nonetheless still in the Detroit lineup. Now Kenny Snow and Kazul battle, and it's Kazul who picks up the foul out near the red line.
You can see Kazul and Snow fighting for position as Kenny Snow is trying to post him up and possibly turn for an opportunity at goal. He is so dangerous when he's allowed to turn because he is nifty with his feet.
Jay White will trigger the dead ball to the near flank for Tim Whitman just inside the Indianapolis red line. Whitman sends it across just out of the reach of Kevin Legg, and it's cleared away. Jay White keeps it alive, though, and Drago to the far side for Kevin Legg. Back to Drago, who will set it out high. Jay White and the Neon will try to start it from there again. Drago on the right side, beats one man, working on Crawford. Off the boards, got a spinning bounce across the goal mouth, but Snow couldn't run it down.
You can see Drago picking up the speed. He exploded into the corner, and that's a dangerous situation for the defense. That's what the Neon need to do more of, is explode on offense quickly when they have open space in front of them.
Of late, Indianapolis has just been clearing the zone whenever they get a foot on it. This time they will be able to work it offensively as Balela races through the middle. Top of the arc, Balela just over dribbled it, and now Shanker reaches out to knock it away. Loose and covered by P.J. Johns. Threw it through the middle, but it didn't make it through. And again, back the other way, the Twisters. Marino stepping into one, had it blocked by Shanker, got his own rebound, back for Baroni Richardson.
I think it's just a lot cooler for Indianapolis that they all have these shaved heads practicing twice a day.
Now Balela can't keep control in the corner, and Whitman clears it away. There's Ryerson, who bucked the trend, no doubt.
I don't think that he's so anxious to lose any hair there. You can see the Neon are starting to lose. They're starting to lose concentration and starting to make some bad passes. And Indianapolis is taking advantage of it, and now is taking that territorial advantage and starting to press the Neon in their own end.
Well, moments ago, Indianapolis on consecutive occasions way to clear the zone was just what we see there from Detroit, just hammer at the length of the field because they were trying to get changes. They had some tired players out there. They got some fresh legs out, and now they're able to run their offense. Balela on the left side, knocked away by Jason Davis. That'll go over the glass and out of play. And we'll have an official's timeout on the field. Detroit once led by a pair, but it's been all Indianapolis since then. The Twisters on top late in the second quarter. Back at the Palace of Auburn Hills, where the Detroit Neon already have a pair, but they're down 3-2 after getting the first two of the game. It's been like two different games, though. Each quarter has been a different game, with Detroit taking a 2-0 lead after the first 15 minutes, and then the Neon scrambling a bit here in the second quarter, and Indianapolis has been able to play their game. The Twisters, in turn, have the lead.
As the season is worn on at home here, the Neon goal differential in the first quarter, they give up a goal more than they score. In the second quarter, they're +4. Third quarter, +3. In the fourth quarter, +9. So they have not been able to take advantage of that awareness that they've had in the second quarter of games, as Indianapolis has really taken it to them here and dominated this quarter.
Twisters put it into play off the free kick on the far touchline around the glass. P.J. Johns able to trap it, and he'll bring it out of the arc himself. Long through the middle. Kenny Snow unable to tap it back for Drago, and this is Monty Reeves.
One thing you really have to appreciate about the Twisters is that there's no superstar, quote unquote, on their team. They're all equal. They all work hard. They all work together, and that goes a long way. And Kluba, once again, that's going to be the third time.
John Kluba has a 3-line violation whistled against him here with 3:42 to go in the quarter, and clearly an opportunity for Detroit to make up for the ills of this quarter off the dead ball kick.
This is where the Neon have missed Drago. Andy Chapman's not out there to receive the ball. He'll probably go to Jason Davis.
And that's swatted away by Kluba.
Kluba had the angle. He came out nicely to cut the angle. And Balela steals the ball and works his way down the left side.
Davis sliding in to try to tackle it away, and Fairbrother on his own to the corner now. I like how you wait until Drago had passed the ball to say he'll probably pass it to,
you noticed that,
Jason Davis.
Well, I'm looking for Andy Chapman because that's usually who they go to. And then I could see he was looking at Ian. Ian was actually open on the right, but he gave it to Davis.
Oh, we got to keep you honest up here.
That's true. Ian Fairbrother using his body well throughout the game, shielding the ball and not letting double teams affect him. He's protected the ball well.
He'll go long over the top for Kenny Snow, heads it across, and Kevin Legg's header is in!
And it all started with Ian Fairbrother's pass. Very accurate played ball on a line drive. He really drove the ball to Kenny Snow. And we saw earlier Kenny Snow heading the ball across the goal. Nobody was there. Kevin Legg comes through with his second goal of the season. And Kenny Snow will get the assist. And that will build his point total as he's the leading scorer. Ball bounced once, and then he got it on his melon.
Well, you know, we've talked a lot about it. The irony in the play on words. Kevin Legg has 2 goals this season. both of Legg's goals off his head.
Kids, don't forget to register for the Kroger Keebler Kids Club. You'll receive lots of cool prizes, free admission to select games, and a newsletter. Best of all, club membership is free to all kids 12 and under. So pick up your Keebler Kids Club card at participating Kroger stores or at Neon Home Games.
Here's the ball from Ian Fairbrother as Kenny Snow gets up high and sends to Kevin Legg as he has Kluba all by himself to knot the score 3-all.
Legg's season has been an anatomy test. Legg has 2 goals, both off his head and his arm in a cast.
For Kenny Snow, that's his 8th assist of the season.
3-3, 2:35 to go first half. Breaking a string of 3 unanswered Indianapolis goals, Kevin Legg, 2nd of the year. Knotting the score for the 2nd time tonight. Rajano does a nice job in the corner to come up with it, then send it in front, and Joel Shanker took a little more time than P.J. Johns wanted him to, getting it out of the arc.
And it looked like he kicked the ball right out of P.J.'s hands.
And Ryerson climbs over the top of Andy Chapman in front of the Detroit bench to bang it away. Both number 20s on this team, Chapman and Ryerson, are the respective captains for their clubs.
And Ryerson was the captain in San Jose with the Grizzlies in '94-95, and you'll see him or Kazul be marking the pivot men, who will be Kenny Snow or Chapman, for the Neon this evening.
When you talk about physical battles, 2 years ago, Detroit went to San Jose and took part in the most physical indoor soccer game I've ever seen. You want to talk about rivalries. Ryerson, of course, with that club no longer in the league, finding a new place to play, but he was a big part of a very physical game in which fights broke out, and there was a record number of penalty minutes in that one. A game played in San Jose that the Grizzlies eventually won, but the Neon, a much more physical club back in those days, but have picked it up a little bit here in the last 2 nights against Indianapolis. Kevin Legg trying to clear it away as it bounces high. Ryerson deflecting it back in, and now Legg will hammer it out.
And Ryerson's a big fellow for soccer. He stands 6'1", 185. He looks to me to be bigger than that. I wouldn't want to be messing with him, though.
Kluba all the way at midfield. Plays it down into the Detroit end. Monroy with a nice job out of the corner to get it towards the goal, and having to be alert there was P.J. Johns. Martin Chester in trouble as he nearly lost it to Blackburn, and Blackburn does get it back for Ryerson. He's got a man across. It's Monroy, deflected away by Jay White. Monroy gets it back, plays it off the glass. The high bounce carom to the top of the arc, steered away. Baroni Richardson came flying in, but put it out of play.
And Baroni Richardson played part of the season with the Neon, was released during the early part of the season, but was able to find a home. He went to Notre Dame University, where he played soccer there, and found a home with the Twisters.
Inside a minute now to go in the first half as Andy Chapman has it out high for Drago. An important final minute for both clubs. Drago's pass off the boards, just steered to the corner by Balela, taking no chances. Monty Reeves up the boards for Ryerson, who rolls it to midfield. Jason Davis will run it down there. High in the air, Kluba does not grab it on the first try, then does on the second, then shoves Andy Chapman out of the way as he guns it to midfield. 15 seconds to go first half.
And Andy Chapman shoved him right back.
Sure,
no call by the official. These guys mixed it up last year quite a bit in practice.
They watched it and let it go. Now Drago plays it out high, 5 seconds to go. Whitman realizing that, chips it over the top, off the crossbar, rebound, missed the mark. Chapman shakes his head and looks to the heavens in disgust as the half ends precariously for Indianapolis and disappointedly for Detroit. But the teams will go to the break just as they began. All even, tied at 3 at the Palace. A 3-3 tie between the Indianapolis Twisters and Detroit Neon as we return to the Palace of Auburn Hills at the half of tonight's Continental Indoor Soccer League action. John Allers alongside Joel Shanker, Joel Epstein. I'm just surrounded by Joels. Let's go downstairs where Joel Shanker is standing by of the Detroit Neon. And Joel, were you guys kind of thinking to yourselves, here we go again, you got out to a 2-0 lead as you did last night in Indianapolis, and then the Twisters score 3 in a row to retake the lead?
Yeah, well, it seems like the Twisters are a team that scores in bunches, and it's something that we have to get through, and, you know, playing back-to-back games is tough. And I think we may start going in threes, maybe in the midfield and up front, you know, take some pressure and get some fresh legs out there.
Joel, you've played against Indianapolis now for 3 halves and 2 nights. What have you learned that's going to help you in the second half of this game to put the ball in the net again?
Well, one thing's for sure is their strength is that they're so fit, and that's the way they play, just run around sort of helter-skelter, and that's what we have to counterattack and put our chances in.
You had an opportunity early with breaking down the right side. They did not mark you. You hit the first one off the crossbar, and the second one you got all of upper 90. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, it was the exact same play. PJ had given me a ball down the line, and on the first one I didn't get hit exactly where I wanted. In the second one, I just knew I had to make the most of the opportunity, and those are the balls that, if you're going to win games, you have to put those away.
Joel, we'll let you get back to the room. You've been putting them away the last 2 games, 4 in all, and hopefully you can do that some more in the second half. Good luck the rest of the way.
All right, thanks a lot.
Joel Shanker, the Detroit Neon, joining us here at the half, where his club and the Indianapolis Twisters deadlocked at 3 after 30 minutes of play. We'll be back with more from the Palace of Auburn Hills after we take this timeout.
Kids, here's your chance to be introduced with your favorite Neon players at a home game. Take part in the Neon starting lineup. Your team will be announced on the turf in front of thousands of adoring fans right along with the Detroit Neon. And don't miss your chance to play where the Neon play. Meet your favorite Neon players and have a ball. Be a part of Turf Time at the Palace, and your soccer team will play a game on the Neon turf. Receive 60 tickets to a Neon game and get the chance to rub elbows with the Neon. For information, call 810-377-0100.
A 3-3 tie between the Indianapolis Twisters and the Detroit Neon at the half at the Palace of Auburn Hills. Earlier today, Joel Epstein was able to catch up with Jorge Espinoza, the head coach of the Indianapolis Twisters, and let's listen in on their conversation.
Welcome back to the Palace of Auburn Hills. It's halftime, and we're pleased to be joined by Indianapolis head coach Jorge Espinoza. Jorge, you were with the Mexico Toros last year, a team that was just in the league one season. There was some turmoil involving the ownership, and once again you found yourself with an ownership in a bit of turmoil this season. How do you keep your team focused on their job, which is on the field?
Well, Joe, thank you very much, and I think it's very important for me the control of my player, and also from them, control any situation in the field, outside the field, control his attitude, mind, and work.
Well, how do you go about getting your players to focus directly on the job at hand as opposed to wondering if their next paycheck is going to be there?
Well, we've been in the league playing indoor for so many years, and we got to focus first of all in working. And the best thing to do is to do well in the field, and I think everything is coming.
Okay, yeah, Indianapolis really has picked up steam lately, and they played a lot of close ball games. And part of the result is from perhaps practicing twice a day. Most teams just practice twice a day in the training session, but you've continued that all through the season. I've never heard of that in professional sports at all. Why are you still practicing twice a day, Jorge?
Well, I think it's very important for me, especially first year, that everybody know set pieces, everybody is ready to play the next game. And also not only to play, but sometimes we have too many injured players that they need rehabilitation. And the best thing to do is to go and practice and get rid of any sore and hurt.
Now, your team has had some close games, nearly beat Monterey, have played Dallas once and were able to defeat them, so that's probably the positive side. What have been some of the negatives that you haven't been able to overcome so far this season?
For us, the negative thing is experience, lack of experience, and lack of mentality a little bit. I think we've been killing them by team with lack of experience.
So lack of experience, but as the season goes on, obviously Indianapolis will gain more experience and probably some more victories. We'd like to thank the Indianapolis Twister head coach, Jorge Espinoza, for joining us at the half. We'll be back to look at the halftime stats right after this.
Palace of Auburn Hills, where the Indianapolis Twisters and Detroit Neon are knotted at 3 at the half. John Ollers alongside Joel Epstein. I got it right that time, back with you. And downstairs standing by for the Indianapolis Twisters is Rich Ryerson, a defender. And Rich, we've commented in the first half about many of the members of this club who've decided to shave their head. You obviously didn't go that route. Is there any reason behind this, or do you have a lot of guys who are just cheap and don't want to pay for haircuts?
No, I think it's just a trend for those guys, and hopefully I'll just be the Samson and keep mine.
Rich, last night you got down by 3 goals to the Neon. Tonight it was 2 goals. But Indianapolis has no quit in them. What creates that situation on a team that you guys just never give up?
I think it's the pressure of being a first-year team. You know, we're looking for answers right now. Fitness is a key of our game, and I think you know, we're playing to keep a job, so we need to keep struggling. Even if it's not going right for us, we can count on working hard, and that's about it.
Now, Rich, there's been a lot of controversy surrounding the management of the team. Who's actually running the show really isn't of any concern to you guys, although, of course, it is on payday. But at the same time, has it been a rallying point for you guys to kind of gather around and say, let's try to put that in the back and let's pull together as a club?
Well, I think these 2 games with Detroit, with Washington coming up for us and Anaheim, they were crucial games for us anyway. They were kind of season breakers for us. So I think the thing with the management is, you know, we're just in the middle. We're the players, and hopefully all we can control actually is the game itself. So we've kind of, we're resolved at that we'll just go out and play the best we can. Whatever things happen.
Rich, we appreciate you taking the time, and as you get ready for the second half, we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Rich Ryerson of the Indianapolis Twisters joining us here at the half, where the Twisters and Detroit Neon are deadlocked at 3 at the Palace of Auburn Hills. We'll take a break and be back with more after this. The Detroit Neon and Indianapolis Twisters tied at 3 at the half. Detroit had a 2-0 lead after 1 quarter of play. And then Indianapolis decided to join the game offensively speaking. Let's look at our scoring summary from that second quarter of play, in which the Twisters actually took the lead in the game before Detroit was able to come back and knot it. Terry Rowe, the former Neon defender, with his 8th of the season from Blackburn early in the quarter, and then Crawford just moments later with his 1st of the season to tie the game from Bolela. He will pick up the assist there. That's the only goal in which he has figured in after having a 5-point game last night. Then Indianapolis took their only lead of the game as Blackburn scored his 3rd in 2 nights from Ryerson. At 4:02, it took a while, but the Neon were able to tie it back up. Kevin Legg's 2nd of the season from Kenny Snow late in the quarter, and we're all even at 3 after 2. As we look at the stats through 1 half of play, relatively even. Detroit had a lot of advantages early on.
They had advantages, took a 2-0 lead, but Indianapolis, as they've done all season long, have battled back and took the lead, and then Detroit came and evened the game, and then the second half, first half, ran out.
A physical battle, 21 fouls between each team through 30 minutes of play. A 3-3 tie, Indianapolis and Detroit. We'll take a break and return to the Palace after this. John Ehlers and Joel Epstein back at the Palace of Auburn Hills, where Indianapolis and Detroit tied at 3 at the half. We have ourselves a 30-minute indoor soccer game, Joel. The Neon have been a great second-half team this season, but last night when Indianapolis beat Detroit, the 3rd quarter was really where they pulled away.
Well, the Neon have got to be really careful to take care of the ball in their own end. They can't give Indianapolis, who's going to play very high-pressure defense as they come out to play the second half, easy opportunities. They've got to keep the ball under control and move it up the field very smartly and create opportunities and then finish for themselves.
We'll find out when we come back. Tied at 3 the second half on the other side of this timeout. We'll be back to the Palace after this. Second half of play underway as we return to the Palace of Auburn Hills. Detroit putting it into play, and Andy Chapman will send it into the Indianapolis zone. A 3-3 tie. The Twisters and Detroit have each led in this game. Detroit 2-0 at one point. Indianapolis 3-2, and good early pressure from the Neon, led by Andy Chapman. He and Tim Whitman working that far side, but Bolela clears it away from Marino at midfield, and here's Indianapolis in transition. On the left side, Marino sneaking his way to the top of the arc, sends it back to Bolela as they run a little weave down low. Check it, it was Monroy. And now Marino between the red line and the top of the arc. This time he finds Bolela. He'll back it out. Now turns to face the goal. Marked by Drago.
And he wants to go to the left side boards, but Drago wouldn't let him, so he works the ball back towards the middle, and it's like Baroni Richardson has it now.
He will chip it to the corner. One hop off the glass and then to the chest of Mariano Bolela. High over the top, goes to the far post. P.J. Johns heads it back across the arc, and Whitman just gets it out of harm's way.
Not exactly what I think P.J. had in mind. I think he wanted to head it to the right as opposed to back across the goal, where a Twister could have picked it up and dumped it or deposited it right in the Neon goal.
You mean you don't think he wanted to go down the middle of the arc with that? Here's Marino with a nice pass off the glass. Then it comes back to Bolela, his left footer, redirected just over top of the net. And then Marino gets it again and gets it inside the far post. Indianapolis regains the lead.
Well, Monroy, Bolela, and Marino were all over the Neon. It's like the game started, but the Neon didn't. Indianapolis definitely got started, and Jorge is clapping his hands on the bench there, the coach. They came with relentless pressure. Marino, you keep working that hard, and you're going to score. PJ was not even aware the ball was coming. Nice steal there, and he does not hesitate. He actually puts the ball between the legs of Joel Shanker, and that makes it very difficult on a goalkeeper to stop, especially from a very close range shot at a tough angle.
Marino's 13th of the season. He's second on the team in scoring, and he has given Indianapolis a 4-3 lead. Rajano coming over the top as Detroit right off the kick-in, losing possession. Now down the left side, it's Kevin Legg. Long left footer, right on. Kluba catches that, directs traffic, and scoops it back away to the right side. Detroit had the good rush just as the half began. It lasted about 8 or 10 seconds, and after that, Indianapolis took it the other way, and they controlled that first shift of the second half, and as a result, they have the lead as Crawford is dumped in midfield by Martin Chester.
The Neon gambled early. They brought Tim Whitman, who's a defender normally, down to the corner or where the goal was at. They lose the ball in transition. They are left with the 2-on-1 and never really recovered from that opportunity by the Twisters.
Ian Fairbrother heading the ball out of play. The Neon will play at Houston on Sunday to round out a rather busy 4-day weekend for them. As Rich Ryerson told us at the break, Indianapolis returns home to play Washington. Also Sunday. Terry Rowe off the free kick from Rajano cannot get his shot through. Fairbrother rockets it off the boards and out. Chester plays it across the field. Jason Davis moves it ahead. Gets it back from Kenny Snow. Now gets it across for Chester. Stops it, shoots it. That deflected high in the air. Kluba knocks it down. Can't play it as it came outside the arc though. Fairbrother rockets it wide as he came in off the right wing and deflected out to the red line. Indianapolis controls.
Fairbrother has a rocket shot, but rarely very accurate. He has 1 goal so far this season in many shots. Maybe if he took a little pace off the ball, he'd be a little more accurate.
Martin Chester deflecting it hard off the boards high in the air, and Kluba easily comes down with that. The St. Louis native guns it down the left side. Blackburn fighting off Jason Davis, rockets it off the boards and across the goal mouth. Sloan couldn't get there, but runs it down to the far corner. Mike Sloan also works as a fireman in Indianapolis. Plays it off the boards to the front of the net, and then a long shot on the carom coming from Crawford. Never made it to the goal.
And I hope they give Joel Shanker the block on that one, because that must have hurted him square in the chest.
Shanker had an outstanding all-around game last night. He had 3 blocks in the first half at Indianapolis to go along with 3 goals and a foul call in the corner as Kenny Snow introduced to the boards rather hard by Mike Sloan.
And that's twice for Kenny, so you can see him grit his teeth. He took a Charlie horse in one of his legs as he tried to cut across the middle, then scored a goal quickly after that. You can see Sloan goes in. He goes for the ball, but gets a lot of body.
It's one of those plays where the way the leg went, you could really see an injury perhaps occurring. Off the free kick, Jay White puts it off the facing of the upper deck here at the Palace, and the ball out of play will belong to Indianapolis when we come back. Early in the third, the Twisters have regained the lead. Four to 3 Indianapolis. Just over 3 minutes into this, the third quarter. Indianapolis can strike in bunches, and they can strike quickly on you. Last night in their win at Market Square against Detroit, they scored twice in 11 seconds at one point and twice in 13 seconds at another juncture of the game, and put 3 goals on the board in 1:21.
The game plan against a team like Indianapolis is try and get on the board early, because they are so fit that they're going to keep coming at you no matter what late in the game. So you want to get as many, might be some demo work here in the future for Bolela. You might want to get as many goals early as you can and then cling on to a lead and play compact defense and not let them penetrate the arc.
Well, they've shown twice in as many nights that they can get behind early, and they do keep coming back at you. Detroit with leads of 3-0 and 2-0 in the last 2 games. Last night, Indy winning 9-8 at home. And here with just over 11 minutes to go in the third quarter, the Twisters, once down 2-0, have a 4-3 lead.
Well, Joel Shanker mentioned it at halftime. They're concerned about the fitness level of this team, the Indianapolis Twisters.
Boy, Drago and Chapman with a good two-man game. Excuse me, Joel, but Kluba, recognizing it, did what he had to as he came out and pounced on him.
And then he makes a nice throw to Balela on the left wing, who beats Jay White.
Scott Monroy down low with him, just tries to heel it over to him, and Monroy sets it out high for Ryerson, who gets his own carom, then can't get through Jay White to go get it. Shanker clears it away. Terry Rowe back to Ryerson.
This is very dangerous for the Neon because they're not clearing their zone, and they just keep giving Indianapolis opportunity after opportunity.
Whitman able to clear this time, and he finds Chapman in midfield. Back to Tim Whitman, hard to the right corner, lets the bounce come back, and Ryerson steps in front of that.
And that was probably a mistake. He should have possessed the ball. He never did get possession. Let the ball play him as opposed to him play the ball.
Transition for Coyer, and the Twisters the other way. Gets it back from Balela in point blank, sends it across, and that deflected away.
Nice defensive play. Was that Kevin Legg there, John?
Yeah, it was, and now Monty Reeves gets it back out to the top of the arc, and the block made on Richardson's shot, and then a foul as the shot was taken will go against Detroit.
Neon, you've got to be careful here. Indianapolis is good on these dead ball situations. They scored on a few of them last night in Indy.
Kevin Legg picking up the foul, and Balela will trigger the dead ball.
It surprises me there has been no penalty so far in this game. Maybe I just jinxed all the players, but a lot of fouls. At halftime there was 21 or 2 of them, and not a single penalty so far.
Shot off the dead ball by Balela did not get through the Detroit wall. And we mentioned Jay White picked up 3 fouls in the first 11 minutes of the game, and then he continued to play the second quarter and the remainder of the first quarter, and never did pick up that dreaded 4th foul.
That would have sent him to the penalty box.
Now he's marking Balela at midfield. And of course a fresh start as the second half begins.
And this is what
the second half that has been pretty much Indianapolis's so far.
This is what Indianapolis wants to do, is take it right to you.
And they
the
did
second half of the game.
They did last night, excuse me.
Because they really, especially the fact that the Neon got in about 5 this morning. The Neon still have 3 players on their bench who have not played yet in this ball game. I wonder when we will see them, because there's got to be some tired bodies and legs out there for the Neon.
Well, you talk about a tough bit of scheduling. The saving grace for both teams is that they're playing the same team they played the night before, and that tough bit of scheduling pertains to both clubs. Both teams bussed last night immediately following the game at Market Square Arena in Indianapolis. Roughly a 5-hour bus ride up to Detroit. And talking to some of the Indianapolis people, I don't know whether they were exaggerating or not, but I was told they didn't get in until around 8. Now you lose an hour. Perhaps the team stayed behind and had a team meal or something first instead of getting right on the bus. So roughly your club's not leaving the arena till around 11:30 Eastern time, and then you got the 5-hour bus ride. So I don't know where the Twisters lost the other 3 hours, but so far no worse for wear. Pretty much 6 of one, half dozen of the other. You don't typically want to travel on a game day. Not too many coaches choose to do that if they can help it, especially if it's a bus ride. And both teams choosing to get it out of the way in the middle of the night and then rest during the day-to-day.
Jorge Espinosa's philosophy is different than a lot of coaches. He's going to play everybody he's got. They'll all play. He likes to play with 3 different lines offensively, and that way he keeps everybody with a certainty of freshness about them. They get a lot of breaks, and they get to play a lot, and it keeps everybody happy and fresh.
Ball out of play, returned by a patron here at the Palace. Unlike baseball, you don't get to keep the foul balls in indoor soccer. A giveaway by Kluba, and Kenny Snow deflects it towards the goal, is then tripped up by Kluba, who will be given a blue card. And John Kluba, whose aggressive nature to join the offense, cost him that time.
And Joel Shanker's complaining he would like to see a shootout here.
A shootout, exactly. Kenny Snow had a half a step on it.
And Kenny Snow had the ball, and then he banged it off the glass, and Kluba had to do what he did there, which was dive for the ball and kick at it, because Kenny was by him.
I believe he's going to get a shootout as well.
And Kenny is taking 3 hard knocks so far this evening.
And now he's going to take a shootout.
And he needs to put this in for the Neon to tie the game.
Well, he did exactly that a week ago against Seattle in this building, in a goal that put Detroit ahead and ahead to stay in that game, and an eventual victory over the Sea Dogs. And now the former teammates will go mano a mano in a shootout situation. Kluba struggled with these a year ago for Indianapolis.
And Kluba's still pleading his case with the ref, but I think it's over now, John. I think you're going to get a shootout coming at you here. Snow will have 5 seconds to kick the ball. And the refs are trying to get Jorge Espinoza to put somebody in the box. They have to have a player in the box, and if he scores, he comes out immediately. But if Kluba is able to stop Kenny Snow, then the player will remain in the box and serve out a 2-minute penalty.
And of course, being that it's the keeper's blue card, they need to put someone in there other than the player with the infraction, and Mike Sloan gets the dubious honor. Kenny Snow 1 for 1 this season in shootout situations.
Going for his 20th goal of the season here is Kenny Snow.
Nearly a false start by the Indianapolis defenders. Now the whistle blows. Kenny Snow's turned away by Kluba as he went straight at him. Now it's a Detroit power play, the first of the game for either team. Last night, Detroit was 0 for 3 on the power play against Indianapolis. They come into tonight's action now 5th in the CISL at 44%. The Indianapolis penalty kill 6th in the league at 59%.
And it's hard if you play a game the night before and you're unsuccessful 3 times to come back and put the ball in net and get yourself organized, considering the fact that you haven't practiced your power play once again.
Good to have Drago back out there for Detroit as far as the power play is concerned, but this has been one of the strong suits for Detroit this season. Fairbrother will move it down the right side. Inside 8 to go, third quarter, 4-3 Indianapolis. Touch pass broken up by Marino, who would be prudent to just get it out, but he fails to do so, and it's deflected out of play. That off of Edward Child, the son of Coach Paul Child. He had the game-tying goal last night with just over 2 minutes remaining. Unfortunately for Detroit, it did not stand up. The Neon on the power play when we come back, still over a minute of extra time remaining. Or time remaining with the extra man, I should say, when we come back. Back at the Palace, where Detroit still has over a minute remaining on their power play, the first of the game for either team. Halfway through this, the third quarter, 4-3 Indianapolis, and a 3-line violation on Indianapolis. That's the 4th of the game against the Twisters. They have yet to be victimized by it.
No, the Neon have not taken advantage of this still ball play.
And Neon trying to make a player change off of the 3-line violation, and that being disallowed by the officials. 58 seconds left in the power play. Edward Child is out there. I began to mention that he didn't play in last night's game until about the 57-minute mark. He was on the field for 2 goals within a minute, including scoring the game-tying goal with just over 2 minutes remaining. So fresh legs can at times bring instant dividends.
And without the services of Matlack, who's the second leading goal scorer on this team, they need some young legs to step up and help score some goals.
Child has been in 10 games and has produced 3 goals for Detroit this season.
The Neon are playing their power play pretty high in the offensive end. They're playing it out of the midfield, and that's a significant issue that Indianapolis has been able to take advantage of.
Child's shot did not come back to Andy Chapman inside the arc. Detroit was warned there, an illegal substitution warning by the officials at their first of the game. 25 seconds to go on the man advantage as Drago moves it to the left side for Child. He's just trying to set a pass off the backboards down there, and Marino stepped in front of that and deflected it out of play. Last night, the game's only power play goal was the difference in the game, as Indianapolis prevailed by 1. Drago and Fairbrother work it out high now. 10 seconds left in the power play. Child sends it straight away. And now top of the arc, Chapman turns, got it low, and that was blocked.
In his line.
And a foul as Chapman was spilled with 3 seconds remaining in the power play.
And Andy is limping, and you can see that took a little bit out of his ability, perhaps, to play strong. You know, he's gone through a lot of injuries this year, John. He's a tough guy.
Twisters being shown where to set up the wall, and they just weren't able to creep their way back. Fairbrother off the free kick, scores anyway.
And their wall looked very strange because it wasn't a straight line, was it? It was staggered, and you have a staggered line like that, and the ball is going to find a way to go through, and Ian found it. Second goal of the season for Ian Fairbrother, and that's the opportunity that they've had 4 times, and you can see the wall is very staggered. It goes off of Ryerson, and in.
Right where the gap was as well. You could see that Fairbrother was shooting for the gap, as you mentioned, not a solid wall, and he found it, although Ryerson stepped in and got a piece of it. Fairbrother has a power play goal, and he's telling Kevin Legg, the opening looked like a garage door to me, and I just drove it right through.
Well, and as a shooter, that's what you're looking for. Any opportunity, any space, he takes advantage of it, banks it off of Ryerson into the net, and the fourth time was a charm. Fourth three-line violation by Indianapolis, and Neon finally take advantage, and it's all fours on the board as well.
6:25 to go, and long over the top. Chapman takes the pass out of midair, and that's why they call him Superman, as he deflects it out of play.
And there's Josh Epstein celebrating his 7th birthday. There's his mom. His favorite players are Ian Fairbrother, Andy Chapman, and of course the kid favorite Drago.
And Kluba has to come out and swat it away from one of the favorites as Chapman was loose down low. Brand new game at 4-4. The Neon finding themselves battling back of late, but they keep tying it up. Here's Sloan, top of the arc. One of the few shots P.J. Johns has seen in a while. Didn't have much on it, and he makes the save easily. Crowd starting to get into it here at the Palace. And Whitman telling P.J. Johns to get into it as he motions him up to join the offense. Johns sends it low on the carpet all the way into the Indianapolis end and then retreats to his goal. Jay White's long shot low, deflected wide of everything. Crawford loses it on the far boards. Legg gives it to Jay White to the near side. Andy Chapman just missed. That had a little pace on it.
It did. He went for the near corner up high.
Terry Rowe spilled in transition the other way, and Mariano Balela calling for a blue card that he does not get as Rowe tumbles to the carpet.
Terry Rowe working the ball out of the midfield. As you can see, he's now going to post up and look for a ball into the corner here, served by Balela.
Off the boards, got it into the middle of the arc, and Kevin Legg came back to the rescue before Monroy could get there. Both teams making changes as Indianapolis comes up with it in midfield. Coyer gives it to Balela. Balela's left footer saved by P.J. Johns.
Twisters took advantage of the fact that Drago just entered the field from that door. The door was not closed yet. The ball took a goofy hop right to Coyer off their door.
Johns for Detroit, sends it through the middle. Joel Shanker trying to just one-touch it to Martin Chester to no avail, and Coyer rolls it up the boards back into the Detroit end. Whitman will run it down. Lost it though. Balela back to Coyer, who just takes a wild stab at it, and that goes over the glass and out of play.
I think if Coyer thought about that for a second, he probably would have pulled the ball back, looked for somebody straight behind him who might have had a shot at the goal as opposed to trying to bang it in from that terrible angle.
Sometimes that's a fatigue play as much as anything else. Fairbrother, whose goal just tied the game, loses it to Monty Reeves, who plays it around the boards around him. Martin Chester to the rescue, though, runs him down on the far side. Around the boards, P.J. Johns does a nice job to use his body to let the ball roll into the arc and then smother it, as the rest of his over 6-foot frame was clearly outside the arc.
That shows you how much experience, or how an experienced goalkeeper would handle a situation like that. Eric Prex joins the Neon lineup for the first time this evening. And he's been a productive member of their team in the limited minutes he's played. He has played in 9 games, has 3 goals and 2 assists.
Much like Edward Child, who we mentioned earlier, in 10 games has 3 goals and a helper. Drago through the middle to Kenny Snow, grabbed off by Kluba.
And that's what Drago can do for you. Find the open man and create a quick scoring opportunity for his team.
Coyer rags it back for Matej Kazul, who will use his keeper Kluba to spread the field. 3.5 to go as Kluba goes long over the top outside the arc. P.J. Johns can only head it away. Alejandro Marino being marked by Davis. Sends it low for Mike Sloan, using his body on Eric Prex. Battle continues along the boards. Prex squirts it free. It came to Blackburn, but then Prex came back to the middle of the field, took it away, and clears it.
Nice play by Prex to get the ball up to midfield there. He had pressure.
Chapman trying to leave it for Drago, taken away from him, but Drago tackles it away, then tries to get up and take it away from Blackburn, and players strewn all over the place as Blackburn goes down. That's a foul against Detroit.
Here in the background, Paul Child working the officials as Jorge Espinoza leaned over the bench and was in the official's face for quite a while.
Ball belongs to Indianapolis, though, and off the free kick, off the boards, off of Fairbrother and in, but they're going to wave this one off.
And I think that's Blackburn, who looks injured down there. He was tangled up, and I'd hate to be tangled up with Dean Fairbrother. He's a wide body, and he's got some elbows on him.
This is a foul the Twisters wish had not been called, though. Fairbrother called for the foul, and the ball off the boards came back. I couldn't tell whether it hit Ian or whether it hit Jason Davis and went in, but it went off a Detroit player and into the goal, but no goal.
And this is a dangerous situation once again because of the corner play for the Twisters.
Richardson off the carom sent it to the far post, but out of the reach of Sloan. Stepping in is Kazul, and he sends it wide of the mark.
Twisters applying their pressure once again. Neon unable to clear the ball effectively out of their own end and take possession.
Marino tried to jam it in front, blocked by Fairbrother, who then blocks Richardson's shot all the way to midfield, and Kazul inadvertently puts it over the glass and out of play. An official's timeout on the field. 2:27 remains in the third quarter, all even at 4, the Detroit Neon and the Indianapolis Twisters. Trying to stay cool at the Palace, all even at 4. The Neon and Indianapolis Twisters. 2:27 remains third quarter. These two played a 1-goal game last night and don't appear as if they're going to separate themselves from one another too much more than that tonight. Detroit once had a 2-goal lead. Other than that, it has been a 1-goal game all the way.
And coming into this ball game, we all expected a low-scoring and close game. Although last night's game, there was some explosive offensive action with teams scoring goal one after the other in quick repetition.
Yeah, a game that ended up 1-goal game. Detroit once led by 3, Indianapolis once led by 4. So no matter what happens from here, and if either team is able to get a wider advantage than a goal, don't necessarily count on it standing up or being rock solid for that matter. Andy Chapman at the Indianapolis red line for Drago. Now inside 2 minutes to go in a third quarter that has seen the teams trade goals. Drago's pass through the middle, knocked away by an Indianapolis defender, almost went towards the goals. Barone Richardson got a piece of it.
And you can see how dangerous he is when he beats the first man. He did not take a shot there. He's looking for Chapman in tight. When he beats the first man, he's able to penetrate and causes other defenders to leave the players they're marking, come to him and try and take the ball.
Whitman trying to get it to Drago. Monroy broke it up and then gets it back from Balela. Sends it up the right side, and back comes Terry Rowe. Sends it to the top, but Jay White coming back, broke it up. Ryerson steps up, gets a good piece of him, sent it towards the goal, and P.J. Johns clears to midfield. Andy Chapman battling Balela for it as it bounces all the way to the Indianapolis red line. Turns off the board, sets it across for Whitman, waits for it, shoots it wide of everything.
You can see Chapman doing the simple things and the little things right on that play. He turned with the ball and shielded it so well, and then was able to get a ball all the way across to Whitman, who had a shot at goal.
Balela ahead for Monroy into the Detroit end, off the boards, and P.J. Johns smothers that. Inside a minute now to go in the third. Quick outlet down the right side is for Andy Chapman. Trying to touch it back, but that broken up by Barone Richardson, who realized his club was making a change and just hammers it back into the Detroit zone.
That right flank has been open for the Neon when they've been able to find Joel Shanker there twice. There was Andy Chapman able to work his magic down there, but he wasn't able to get the pass off that he would have liked to Joel Shanker.
P.J. Johns had the red line, so he sent it all the way into the Indianapolis zone, but Drago had it knocked away by Rajano. 20 seconds to go in the quarter. Monty Reeves moves it dangerously to the middle of the field. That broken up, and Eric Prex comes up with it. Got it back to Fairbrother, off the boards now for Jason Davis. Davis takes it top of the arc, has all kinds of field, got it to Prex, save John Kluba. The quarter winding down as Davis has it at the red line, wants to let a shot go, but the horn will sound before he can do that. And Detroit with good pressure late, but still tied with Indianapolis after 3 quarters of play now. A 15-minute game from the Palace of Auburn Hills. The Neon and Indianapolis tied at 4 after 3 quarters of play. The Palace of Auburn Hills, the home of the Detroit Neon, and Andy Chapman, very high-profile member of this club, trying to cool off as they head into the fourth quarter. Indianapolis took the lead back as it was tied at 3 at the half. Early on in the quarter at 1:16, Marino unassisted with his 13th of the year, but Ian Fairbrother also unassisted off a free kick on a power play, getting his 2nd of the year midway through the quarter, and we're all even at 4. Detroit with the only special teams goal of the game as we take a look at the stats through 3 quarters of play.
And Indianapolis came out in that third quarter fast and furious, put a lot of shots on goal, only were able to score once. You can see they really lead in shots by a wide margin, shots on goal. Things are starting to move in their fashion. Detroit getting themselves in front on blocks. They're getting their bodies in front and helping their goalkeeper out.
As Neon Man is getting bettered. In a game of musical chairs, it ended up being musical Neon Man. Whoever's sitting on Neon Man at the end wins. Well, all you hear about when you talk about this Indianapolis club, when you talk to players and coaches alike, is how fit they are, how fit they are. You got to think, especially on the road, if you're Jorge Espinoza, you're happy with a 4-4 game going into the final quarter.
Without a doubt, but when you play in the Palace, it's a little different story for teams. The Neon have outscored the opposition by 9 goals so far this season at home.
However, Indianapolis has it going the direction they want after being somewhat dominated by Detroit in the first quarter. They have had the better of the attack time since.
And nearly 2 minutes in the third quarter, Neon were able to hold their own, and we'll see if the Twisters start the fourth period as they did the third period with a fury right in the Neon goal area where they were able to score the 4th goal for them this season, or this evening.
Statistically speaking, this game mirrors last night's game in Indianapolis, where the Twisters were unable to control the game until the second quarter after Detroit had it all their way in the opening quarter. However, as you mentioned, the difference being at this point, the third quarter last night was where Indianapolis distanced themselves on the scoreboard. Detroit holds their own tonight. As a result, all tied at 4 going into the fourth.
Well, the Neon have lost just a single game out of 6 played here at home so far this season. And you can bet that they don't want to give up this home field advantage.
Well, I've talked to a number of the players, and while they are disappointed in their road performance thus far this season, 0-7 halfway through the season on the road, they readily admit that if we continue to play that way or struggle on the road as we have thus far, we cannot afford to lose at home. There's just no doubt about it. And here's Kenny Snow on a 2-on-1 to start the quarter, and John Kluba swats it away.
Nice save by Kluba. Kenny really measured that ball, got a good shot off from a tough angle. It was a volley, and he's hit it solidly.
To midfield, Jay White steps in front of a pass and then steps it into the Indianapolis zone. His right footer blocked by Baroni Richardson.
You could see him walk around the ball to get his right foot on it as opposed to hitting it first time left-footed.
Ryerson deftly plays it off the boards and has Marino in the middle. He's got Rahano on his right, Ryerson on his left. Goes to his right, then gives it to Ryerson, steps up, tries to move it back to the middle, now draped by Neon defenders, sends it out high.
That's a good point. There were 3 Neon defenders there, which is what the Neon need to do to keep the Twisters from getting an easy shot opportunity at their goalkeeper.
Well, with all due respect, Indianapolis on that time turned something into nothing offensively. Marino went to the right side of the field, opening up the left side, got it back on the left for Ryerson, who then just took too long to do anything with it.
He hesitated, and the Neon were able to recover quickly.
Kenny Snow at midfield trying to work his way through a blanket of Indianapolis defenders. Plays it off the boards, then goes and gets it. Trying to step back into Terry Rowe, who will get his money's worth out of that foul.
Well, Terry Rowe is like the policeman. He could see Kenny Snow give an elbow to Rahano, number 7, and Kenny Snow smiles as he leaves the field, and Terry Rowe will not let that go unchecked. Kenny Snow working the ball, and here comes Terry to grab him. You can see that Kenny cut back, and all Terry could do was get in his way.
Or fail to get out of his way, one of the two. 2 different ways of saying the same thing.
Yeah.
In Terry Rowe's case, probably, as you mentioned, being the policeman he can be, just failing to get out of the way. Played off the boards nicely, and here's Blackburn the other way as Indianapolis is in transition. He's got a touch for scoring the big ones, and now drops it back for Rowe. Terry Rowe will work it out to the red line and spin it around the boards for Blackburn, being marked there by Fairbrother. Blackburn quickly to Rowe, now top of the arc, a touch pass that deflects away to the near wall, and there is Andy Chapman. Lifts it long over the top and headed back by Kluba. Oh, and P.J. Johns had to come out and just hammer Terry Rowe as the ball bounced over the head of the Neon defenders and was coming back into the Detroit zone. Terry Rowe may have had a case there for a blue card, but instead it'll be a free kick.
Well, Kluba was given a blue card earlier on the play with Kenny Snow. So the ball bouncing, and PJ says, man, I can't get this because Terry's got his body in his way. I'm going through his body to get the ball.
Yeah, and he had no help defensively, so he knew if he didn't get to it, there was an empty net back in the Detroit zone. Rowe will trigger the free kick from between the top of the arc and the red line. Has Crawford on his right. Takes the shot, deflected by Jay White, out of play. And I believe they're going to award a corner kick here for Indianapolis.
And PJ had to work his way around Monroy to get at that ball because he was left unchecked by the Neon defenders as they had 3 men in the wall.
Again, Rowe triggers right through Blackburn, but Crawford runs it down and sends it to midfield for Kazul.
That was not a bad play by Blackburn there because he didn't have a shot. So he figured maybe I'll dummy this ball, let it go through. Maybe one of my teammates will catch it right in the middle of the arc there.
Now Rowe at midfield, using his body as his shield, ends up on the carpet and draws a foul. 12:22 to go in the game. Indianapolis 4, Detroit 4, and Terry Rowe sets it on the carpet for Oswaldo Monroy. He's got a man back on the far side. Look out, it's Balela. Mariano Balela gets it to the top of the arc. Right footer deflected and blocked out of play. They rule it'll go off an Indianapolis player, however, and that'll give possession to Detroit.
The last time the Twisters were in this building was their first game ever in their franchise history, and they looked like a bunch of dough with their eyes caught in some headlights. Their eyes were as big as saucers. They'd never seen anything like the Palace, some of these players, but they've adjusted to the CISL quite well as they're showing themselves here.
Kenny Snow playing it off the glass and out of play. I think Indianapolis was truly an expansion team 14 games ago when they came into this building. I think half a season into their initial campaign, it's pretty hard to put that tag on this club anymore.
Well, there's a lot of teams in this league who fear playing Indianapolis because they are a relentless side, and there's another three-line pass, the fifth one of the ball game against Indianapolis. They're a relentless side. They've got a very experienced coach, Espinoza, who played for the Chicago Sting in the MISL.
Well, and as you mentioned, though, they're young, they don't have any superstars, and maybe it's some of the mental errors that are starting to catch up with them now. As you mentioned, their fifth three-line violation. That's something that can easily be controlled, and yet it continues to haunt them here tonight. But again, they survive.
Right, but if it doesn't make a difference unless the Neon take advantage of it, which they've done only once out of 5 opportunities on those dead ball situations at the top of the arc.
Balela in the Detroit end now gets the pass back across the top of the arc and just controls it.
But Indianapolis does a nice job attacking. They're patient with the ball. They keep the ball on the ground, and they keep working for their teammates, running into open spaces and trying to receive a ball.
Balela double teamed, gets help from Marino along the boards, but Marino is called for the foul as the crowd here at the Palace gets the wave going. Ball bouncing back into the Indianapolis zone. A good crowd, as we've mentioned on a couple of occasions here at the Palace. Snow trying to get it to the middle, but Monty Reeves knocks it away. John Kluba way out of his net, just hammers it into his own bench again. He's done that a couple of times tonight, but was in a bit of no man's land there. The ball quickly put into play.
It was deflected out by the Neon, right into Espinoza.
Espinoza working the officials right now as he is upset with the ruling that the ball was put into play too soon. Wanted his team to get going. Now they'll start it out with Ryerson and Kluba spreading the field. Kluba on one hop to the Detroit red line. That broken up, and Drago trying to play it back up the boards for a sprinting Jason Davis. However, Baroni Richardson takes it away. Heel spins it back, and trailing the play is Marino. Spins it into the Detroit arc, and a foul on Jason Davis.
Davis better be careful because at this stage of the game, you cannot give up a blue card. He's complaining, and he's showing up the referee by making a big twist and turn there.
Alley gets over the mental strife of it all and gives the ball back and remains on the field. Marino will put the free kick in, and that off of Drago, just held his ground right there. Ryerson heads it to the far boards. Flying in is Rajano, and everybody just getting out of his way. He missed the ball, and the ball one hops over the glass out of play.
He was a man on a mission.
And everybody saw him coming, too.
Now, this ball is just in front of the red line, so Jay White could have sent it all the way down the field if he chose to, without fear of a three-line call.
Instead, back to P.J. Johns, who finds Tim Whitman. Whitman up the left side, all the way into the Indianapolis zone, around the board, smothered by John Kluba.
If there's one place that the Twister defense is susceptible, it's down the line. The Neon have been able to work the ball down the line for their benefit all night long.
Crawford trying to dummy it, as you say, as he let it go through him and then back off the boards, and Andy Chapman spun him down and picked up the foul.
And Chapman saying, "I'm sorry, I didn't hear you," because the crowd got so loud he couldn't hear the ref's whistle.
Little gamesmanship there by Chapman, perhaps. It is loud down on the field, but when you've been around as long as Superman has, you know all the tricks.
And he's going to set the ball for the opposing team? I don't think so.
Whitman moves it across the arc, and just getting tangled up in his own laces that time was Chapman. And long over the top, it's sent through midfield. Rahano battling for it. Whitman able to find Jay White, though. White is the Neon with a 3-on-3, fires it off the boards wide. The carom to Andy Chapman, sent it right through. Kluba waiting for it, scoops it up.
You get the sense of urgency on the players' parts now. They're really attacking the goal on both sides to try and break open this tie game here.
Long feed by Kluba down the left side off the right foot of Jay White, not a play. Indianapolis will have possession from the far touchline in front of the Detroit bench as a winded Drago and Andy Chapman get a rest. And now we'll talk it over. Indianapolis with control out at midfield. Kluba way out of his net. Spins it around, and his counterpart, P.J. Johns, stepping out to try to play it. Now Coyer's shot deflects into the arc. Blackburn in the corner, trying to get control, sent it right across the goal mouth, but it was behind Monroy. Ryerson given a rough ride on the boards, and the Neon in transition as they come up with it. Here's Joel Shanker ahead for Kenny Snow. Waits on the left wing. Shanker will spin behind him. Snow now doesn't see anything develop, so he feeds it to the center circle for a waiting Ian Fairbrother. On the carpet to Davis, tried to heel spin it back and did not find Snow with that. And Davis sprawling at midfield as Blackburn controls for Indianapolis. The paying officials at the Palace disagree with the no call, and now they'll get a call as Marino dumps Jason Davis, who's had a rather tough shift, on the far touchline.
It's starting to get real dangerous out there. The refs need to keep tight rein in this game so it doesn't get out of control, because these two teams are fighting for 5th place.
Something about playing the same team twice in 2 days. I don't care who you are. You might be the most mild-mannered teams in any sport. Rivalries tend to develop.
And the loser goes to the cellar of the Eastern Conference.
Now it comes right into the arc, and Marino turned away as P.J. Johns came out to cut the angle.
Nice play by Kazul there to get his head on that ball. If he did not, it was Kenny Snow going against John Kluba mano a mano.
Put it in the Detroit bench, but that's fine. That'll buy him some time to get back behind Snow and the rest of the Neon offense. 8:10 to go, 4th quarter. A 4-4 tie. Only 2 goals in the second half, 1 for each club thus far. Last night, the teams combined for 17 markers. Only halfway there tonight. Balela down the right side for Reeves, who ducks it to let it get ahead of him on the boards. Has Rowe with him, spins it around the dasher, but P.J. Johns is waiting for it. Scoops it ahead for Kenny Snow at midfield, trying to stay ahead of Monty Reeves. This is Snow all the way to the top of the arc. He fell on the ball, and the inadvertent handball not called as Kluba comes out and gets it in again. The fans at the Palace wanted a call that they didn't get. Eric Krex intercepts at midfield and controls there for Detroit. Finds Kenny Snow. Has Drago with him as they work the left side, and will send it all the way back to P.J. Johns and then get to the bench for some fresh legs. Snow is tired. Chapman will come on for him.
And Kenny Snow had the opportunity. They kept the middle open for him. He just didn't get a shot off quick enough. He kept dribbling into the open space, and they finally closed the vise on him.
And the long pass over the top didn't get to Chapman, but Indianapolis again gives it away at midfield. Matt Coyer through the middle, right through Sloan. Davis races after it and just knocks it away from Rahano. Sloan then gets it back, but P.J. Johns steps out and into it.
I have to wonder about that. P.J. could have just stepped back and caught that ball. Instead, he decides to try and play it out one touch, and Indianapolis retains possession.
Oh, Rahano setting up Richardson, who's turned away. Baroni gets it back and has a weak shot off the dasher that P.J. Johns grabs off. Now down the right side for Chapman. Andy sets it to midfield.
We really have end-to-end action going on now. Both teams attacking the goal. Not a lot of midfield play, not a lot of slow play in the midfield. It's sending the ball down quickly and trying to get a quick scoring opportunity for your team as the clock winds down.
6:20 to go in the game. Whitman moves it to the middle, trying to post up with Chapman, and a foul called on Matej Kazul will retain possession for Detroit. And Andy Chapman, who broke a couple of ribs earlier on this season, seems to favor them a little bit as he gets back up.
Whitman sending the ball to the post-up player. Kazul and Chapman have been battling all game long for position. Kazul doing a nice job, but gets the foul in that situation.
Chapman takes the free kick, and Andy, a tough competitor, has never missed a game as a member of this club. Did not get his shot through that time. Richardson wins the battle along with Coyer on the far side. Coyer overlet it, though, and Drago steps in front of it. Gets it back from Chapman, only to have it tackled away by Baroni Richardson. Now he just turns away from Richardson and loses it once more. Coyer and Kazul play it to the middle of the field for Rahano. Rahano 1-on-2, gets help as Indianapolis makes changes off the bench. Rahano's shot off the boards, bounces right to the top of the arc. The long carom just out of the reach of Monroy coming off the bench. And you're right, up and down they go. Here's Fairbrother the other way. Long right footer, hard on net, and Kluba made that save. Richardson shoved in the corner. And I believe Baroni picked up the foul there. Detroit will have possession.
Looks like a blue card on Baroni Richardson. Too many fouls in this half. They'll send him to the box.
And that'll be the first time tonight, if indeed that is the case, that a player has picked up a fourth
ref is
foul.
waving it off, John. Ref is waving it off. The assistant ref,
who keeps track of those numbers off the field, standing in the scorer's bench area.
he held up a blue card. Then one of the referees from the field went over and discussed it with him, and they waved it off.
Checks and balances, if you will. Corner kick by Fairbrother got through. Kluba deflects it away, and Richardson gets a foot on it. Away come the Twisters to midfield. Racing up the right side, Monroy, but Martin Chester with fairly fresh legs plays it back for P.J. Johns, who trying to left foot it, puts it out of play. 5:25 to go in the game. Maybe more. 4-4 in the fourth at the Palace, Indianapolis and Detroit. A 4-4 tie. They play 60 minutes in the Continental Indoor Soccer League, but tonight they might as well have just played 5 minutes and 25 seconds. 29-25, Indianapolis has the shot advantage. And a good crowd on hand here in Detroit tonight of nearly 9,000 at the Palace of Auburn Hills.
And they be dancing right about now.
Detroit third in the league coming into tonight's action in attendance, averaging over 7,000 a contest. That is about 1,700 over the season average thus far. This is the 7th home game of the year for Detroit. Ryerson's free kick came in front and was deflected off the crossbar.
Yeah, Reeves deflected that ball. It looked like a thigh or a knee. Hit the crossbar off of Ryerson's shot.
That's a long free kick as well. That one came off the near touchline, almost at midfield. Detroit dodges a bullet and now has possession.
As you have these teams pressuring each other and getting all their players in the offensive end, both teams need to be aware of the counterattacking opportunities where you're going to spring 2 players versus 1 defender, catch 1 guy back, and be able to finish the game like that.
Prex finds Snow, and his shot deflected away by Kluba. The wild rebound Fairbrother puts out of play and then gives a little extra bit of oomph to Rich Ryerson.
And Kenny Snow is pretty upset with himself at this point. He missed a shootout, and that opportunity goes awry as well. He picked his spot. Ball ended up not going in, though, on a deflection. Good block by the defense of the Twisters.
Well, Snow missed a shootout, but during the subsequent power play, Detroit did score, and that stands up right now as the goal that tied this game by Ian Fairbrother. But it's chances like those with just 4:50 remaining in the game that really stand out at you because they are so late in the game and could make such a big difference and affect the way the game is played. If either team gets behind here as Kluba's long pass is deflected into the crowd by Fairbrother, you're going to see a strategy change, because if it goes any further like that, the team that gets behind most likely is going to employ a 6th attacker.
And that worked so well for the Neon last night in Indianapolis. They were able to score and score and tie the ball game late.
But a goal right now would not obviously only affect the outcome, but it would definitely affect the strategy, unlike a goal perhaps early in the 3rd quarter that would make it 5-4. Jay White in the corner trying to bring it out of his own zone, double teamed, then triple teamed. And Monroy trying to spin it back to Terry Rowe, almost opened the field wide open right there. Terry Rowe does a good job of battling and keeping it alive and draws a foul, I believe, he's called for the foul as he was pushing off.
Well, that's an interesting call. I don't think I've seen that one before. He's got possession of the ball. People are putting their hand on his hip, and he's pushing it off.
Detroit with possession now. Jay White through the middle of the field. Off of Ryerson, then off of Balela. High in the air, Ryerson knocks it away, but Drago gets to it, plays it off the boards. It bounces away and in!
And that was a blue card call Intentional handball against Kenny Snow.
Yeah,
so
I thought
being
it
a
looked,
goal, it's going to be a
I thought it
penalty.
looked like it went off of Snow's hand. And a good call by the near side referee who was on top of it. And let's get another look.
Drago works the right corner. He sends the ball off the board. Kluba can't handle it. Kenny Snow is up with Crawford. He gets his hand on the ball. It goes in. He thinks nobody sees it. Instead of the Neon going up by one, now they've got to fight here because they have to kill a penalty.
Well, Snow did all he could do. Once he's touched it with his hand, he's got to react as if he didn't. And like you said, maybe hope that the official didn't get a good enough look to make a real positive call on it, and if he reacts like it's a good goal and like he would on any other goal, maybe he possums his way into the call. He did what he could. It was clearly a handball. Indianapolis's first power play of the night. Remember, last night they scored on one of 3 power play chances. That power play goal came inside the final 15 seconds. That power play goal was the game's only power play goal and was the difference in the game.
Well, that was Kenny Snow a la Maradona against England, where he knocked that ball in his hand to win that ball game in the World Cup. For Argentina, Neon are 10th in the league in penalty killing at just 50%.
Indianapolis only 8th on the power play as Terry Rowe tries to head it in, and then the foul called on Monroy, who was desperately scrambling to get to the carom and just decided to do-si-do his man in front of the goal.
Neon have to be careful. They've got 2 men upfield. They're trying to kill a penalty.
Detroit has scored a shorthanded goal this year. It came at Monterey. Balela finds Terry Rowe, tries to send it back over to him, but too much air on that pass. To the corner, Jason Davis, who has that shorthanded goal for Detroit. Spun it to the line. Marino knocked it down. Rowe sets it back to Balela, who will quarterback this unit. A minute to go on the Indianapolis power play. 3 minutes to go in the game. Balela at the top. Working it a little lower with each subsequent step. Now to Terry Rowe, his pass anticipated by Fairbrother, who deflects it on a hop into his own bench.
Neon need to be careful of Marino here, number 9, because he had 5 power play goals for the Mexico Toros last year.
They will talk it over as each team's specialty units try to bear down. Tied at 4 late at the Palace. Indianapolis with 47 seconds remaining on their first power play chance of the game. And a very big power play. Marino from the right flank has his shot blocked out. Balela takes it out of the air, deflected just wide. P.J. Johns grabs it off.
And he really needed to grab that because Monroy was sitting on the doorstep if that ball was not stopped by P.J. Johns to bang it into the Neon net.
Got it ahead for Chapman, who got the left foot on it. Kluba was waiting for it, though. And now 20 seconds remaining the penalty to Kenny Snow for the intentional handball. 2:23 to go in the game. Marino leading one final rush for the Indianapolis power play. Balela to Coyer. Coyer has it knocked away. Fairbrother up with it, and back come the Neon the other way. He'll just hammer it the length of the field. Kenny Snow's penalty winds down. He stands in the box ready to rejoin the play. As Marino plays it up the boards, he will come out of the box, and a foul on Jay White. Both teams full strength, 2:02 to go. The Neon dodge a big bullet.
Ian Fairbrother coming up big for the Neon to snuff out the end of that power play opportunity for the Twisters. Neon dodge a bullet, John.
Marino brings it to the Detroit red line, wide on the right side. Spins it back for Rowe, now to Balela, but anticipating that and stepping in front was Chester. Snow tries to spring him long over the top. Kluba comes out and heads it away. Well, that's a play where as a goalkeeper you have to make a quick decision. Kluba made a good one. Monroy and Balela along with Blackburn out there, and an interesting decision that Blackburn is out there at this juncture in the game, Joel, as a foul is called on Indianapolis. Blackburn, who scored the big game winner last night, suddenly put on the field with just under 2 minutes to go.
They're going back to where they were successful last night with Blackburn. He also has a goal this game.
I believe an illegal substitution warning on Indianapolis there. That's their first of the game. Detroit has also had one. Both teams make changes as the ball's put into play. Down to 1:35 to go. Jay White sends it down the near boards. Chapman waiting for it. Banks it off the boards. Chasing it with Kluba. Comes right to Shanker, and he put it right into Kluba. I don't think, based on the angle I could see from up here, Kluba was in front of the goal at all. But Shanker put it right into him, and Kluba serves it long down the left side for Balela. Balela spinning it back for Terry Rowe. Rowe working out of the corner would probably like nothing better than to victimize his old mates with a game winner. Instead sends it to Kluba at midfield. A minute remains in the game as he sends it in. Balela waiting in the right corner, sends it out high. Baroni Richardson steps into it and sent it across the arc. I think that was a pass, but it missed everybody by quite a bit. Drago races the other way.
And Drago's trying to get one of his players to go to the opposite side, but he scores it. Drago, his first game back after a hamstring injury. Both players for the Neon are on the left side. He's trying to get one of them to move to the right side to create a triangle situation, which will give him the 3 options that he needs. But as you can see, Drago,
he couldn't get it.
He couldn't get it, so he says, what the heck? Kluba's flat-footed. I'm going to put it right through his legs, it looks like.
He couldn't get what he wanted. You could see him motioning, as you mentioned, and then when they wouldn't help him spread the field, he spread it himself.
Exactly. He decided the right side's open, I'll take it, and sure enough, and he went right through Kluba's legs. Now there's just 47 seconds left. This will be a big victory for the Neon if they can keep the Twisters from tying this ball game late.
Well, Detroit trying to victimize Indianapolis in a similar way that the Twisters did 24 hours ago to the Neon in Indianapolis. However, the difference being here with 47 seconds remaining, Indianapolis with more time to try to put the 6th attacker out there. It'll be Marino and put him to use. Detroit had 11.9 seconds last night to try to make something happen, and really that's not enough time.
And they've got plenty of time to get the ball in the net.
Drago, who's been out for 6 games with a hamstring problem, had to be careful. He jumped so high after the goal not to re-injure the hammy here, I think. His 7th of the season is his first point tonight, and it sets off a celebration on the Detroit side of things. An unassisted goal at 14-13 by the bald one, and that is the difference in the game right now. 47 seconds stand between Detroit and their 6th victory of the season.
And a big victory would be that Neon do not want to be in the cellar. They want to be in the playoff hunt. And this will keep them in 5th place as they go down to Houston if they can get a victory here.
Paul Child putting the fresh legs of Earl Paris out there. A very defensive-oriented unit. He has, I believe, 1 forward and 4 defenders. No, he has 5 defenders out there. He's got Davis, Whitman, Fairbrother, White, and Earl Paris. 5 defenders on the field against the 6-man unit for Indianapolis that includes 6th attacker Alejandro Moreno. Terry Rowe through the middle with Balela. Down the left side for Ryerson. Into the Detroit end, marked by Davis. Ryerson tripped up along the touchline, and that'll be a foul on Jason Davis. And the home clock rolls an extra second or two. 34 seconds to go in the game.
Davis has got to be careful not to pick up too many fouls. He could get his team in that situation where he has to go to the box because of too many.
Free kick came into the arc twice. Ryerson's shot went off of P.J. Johns. Marino keeps it in the Detroit end. Fairbrother gets to it. Double teamed along the wall, squeezes it ahead, but Indianapolis keeps it in. Now it'll come out to midfield. Ryerson does not have time on his side, even though he acts like it. For Balela, 15 seconds left. Indianapolis net empty. The 6th attacker is on Terry Rowe. Into Blackburn, who heads it across the arc. White goes straight up in the air with it. Fairbrother heads it in the air. Marino steps across. Final seconds as the ball is rolled back into the Indianapolis end. The clock expires, as do the Indianapolis Twisters' hopes. A goal by Drago with 47 seconds remaining has given the Detroit Neon a victory tonight, and these teams will split a home-and-home series over the course of 24 hours. The final score tonight at the Palace of Auburn Hills, the Detroit Neon 5, Indianapolis Twisters 4.